They can see us and they can hear both of us.
I hope so. It says we're live.
Oh, is it? Are we? Okay,
Yeah.
can you guys hear us?
Hi, you guys. Can you hear us?
Oh my God, there's 100 people.
What in the world? Hi
my
from
gosh.
Texas. Why are there so many of you in here?
Oh. Okay, first of all, can you hear both of us clearly?
Yes. Can you hear me?
This was the issue that we were coming to grips with.
Yes.
They're saying yes. Awesome.
You can hear us both. One of us doesn't sound further away than the other.
Yeah, like one isn't super loud. I know, finally. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, you guys are typing so quickly. I can't believe it.
First of all, happy birthday to Kalena
Happy
Jim.
birthday, Kalena Jim. It is
Happy
her birthday today.
It's her birthday. Today,
And
on this day,
yes, it is.
she was born, and it's a wonderful day.
Yes, because she spoils us, and she's someone we met because of the podcast, and she's stuck with us for life. So happy birthday! We're so happy you were born.
We are.
We wanted to say that first.
Ikidodun.
Yes,
we love you.
Cindy.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow, you guys type really fast, and there's 115 of you in here. This is crazy.
Yeah, from Brazil. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is going to be really hard because we do have to actually do the podcast. So we were talking about how we are probably going to have to ignore the chat for a good portion of this because we have to talk to each other and podcast.
Listen, Ashley and I used to podcast in person, but we would sit in those chairs you see right behind me
back there
and look at each other and podcast. We've never sat this close while we've recorded before.
I know we're
right in each other's spaces. And so bear with us. So just to let you guys know, chat amongst yourselves, please keep chatting. But we likely won't see a lot of the things you say while we're doing the actual 38 coverage. Yeah. But at the end, we do want to chat with you guys a little bit and take questions and things like that. So at the end, we'll be for all of that. So if we don't see your message, please don't be offended. We also realize we have to actually record the episode because we do need to release the audio as an actual podcast. This week. So But yes, we love you all. Thank you for being here. I know. 127 of you so far. What is this?
Oh my gosh.
So yes. And hello from Dubai and Paris and India and all these other countries, Brazil.
Russia, Brazil.
And it's crazy
South
times
Africa.
of the evening for some of you guys. So
I know.
Thank you
I can't believe
setting your alarms and waking up.
Seriously.
And joining us.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Anyways.
I know.
So we're going to kind of start like we normally would. So you guys enjoy, talk amongst yourselves, and we're going to start the podcast right now.
Oh, I got to make sure I don't hit anything.
I know.
It's I'm so used to the way that we always do it.
I know. This whole
being holed up in my room.
I know. In our
my big headphones.
We usually have our headphones on. I'm usually in pajamas with no makeup.
Yeah, I put on hard pants.
Me too.
As someone said, I put on hard pants for this.
I think Honey
yeah.
tells them that.
So you guys are very lucky.
Yes, we have hard pants on too, guys.
I'm not wearing leggings for once in my life. Gosh, I'm nervous.
I know, me too. We do this every week, but never like this. So please, just bear with us. Hi, North Carolina. Hi, Los Angeles. Hi, Italy. Hi, South Africa, Georgia, Slovakia, Boston. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Jack, so is Zuzu in here?
Zuzu's here.
Zuzu's in here. Jack is here, but my husband is home and my parents are here. So he's hamming it up with them. So
he's all snuggled up.
Yeah, I'll see if I can go get him when we're done, but he might not make an appearance today.
Yeah.
But don't worry, we're planning on doing another live episode, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So we're going to do our intro like we normally do. So just ignore us.
Yeah, ignore us on this live stream.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. This is so strange.
I know. We're live. Live Dizzy for DZ.
Welcome to Dizzy
IRL.
for DZ. For those of you who might not know by our faces, I'm Kristen.
I'm Ashley.
And we're talking about Senchal Kapımı Volume 38 today.
Yeah.
So let's dive into a little bit of housekeeping.
Yeah. I don't have any, so you just do what you got to do.
Okay. So I just wanted to say Geçmiş olsun to a lot of the Senchal Kapımı family, because a lot of them, the whole reason we're doing this live stream today is because there's no new episode, because a lot of them have tested positive for COVID and are recovering. So I just wanted to wish them well and that they recover quickly.
Yeah.
Sarp John he's already come back negative. I mean, I think he's done on the show. I don't think we're going to see him, but I'm glad to know he recovered.
Yeah.
And I think Nestle Han tested positive and Ali John tested positive.
Oh. I mean, they're all together. So it's such a risk if one of them gets it.
All the time.
Yeah.
And I think some of the crew member, because I remember Krem saying like 5 people on set had tested positive. So, anyway, so get well to all of you.
I know. Hopefully they're all okay.
Yeah. And then one of the other housekeeping, I just wanted to say, this live stream is also a test run because, as a lot of you know, we are doing a Would Serkan Bolat Ever episode sometime in the next few. It'll come out during the hiatus for the podcast.
Yeah,
I mean for the show. And we want to do that live as well. So this is kind of a test run, and it's good because we had a lot of kinks we had to work out. As you know, we had to put a new link in. We didn't even get to use the original link we scheduled.
We're such noobs. Yes. I was like, we totally set this up wrong. Cool. No big deal.
We set it up that we had this like special software that we definitely don't have.
Yeah.
So we couldn't change it once it was scheduled. So I was like, crap, everyone's had that link for the last like 12 hours. And gosh, we have to hurry and do this new link. So so Would Serkan Bolat Ever, we'll include the link if you want to participate in that. A lot of you have already. I think we have like a near 200 responses.
Oh, I'm sure we do.
Yeah. So, but if you have more or you want to participate, we'll link that Google Doc in the episode notes when this releases as an audio episode.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty much it for me.
Okay.
If there's anything else, I'll say it. We're in the middle of another thought. So,
yeah. All right.
Yeah,
so, should we dive into 38?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, we start off with the Serkan swooning. Literally swooning. And
because
he's so in love.
And she senses him when their hearts feel each other. It's my favorite. It's such a cheesy trope, but it's like,
and like it's such this sweet scene, and he's like, I could stay like this forever. He's all his poor brain is like he's muddled. He's got fog brain again. And then I'm like, seriously, these people are just standing around. Nobody's calling an ambulance. Anna has to be like, can somebody call a doctor? And they don't show anybody on their phone. Like, they're all super calm. Like, this guy just
what's happening?
She's like, what happened? And they're like, he fell down. Like, what the heck?
He was asking about the flight, and then he dropped.
Yeah. But come on, people.
Well, and it's funny because I said this last week, because obviously the final scene last week, but they were so realistic about he had to like stop and go through security. But not realistic about the fact that you don't think there's EMTs or paramedics.
I know.
Like in an
all
airport.
Around. Yeah.
Give me a break.
Or like at least have the guy get on a radio or something.
And ask for help.
If you see a person collapse right in front of you, you're not going to be like, oh, I wonder what's going on. Oh, this lady is running up to him. Give me a break. So I was so irritated at everybody. I'm like, help him.
I know.
Somebody help Serkan.
I know. But, she rushes to him in a panic. She was already on her way back because she felt him.
In her heart.
Yes, she did.
In her kalp.
That's right. And so how would you call Bean?
Would he, her heart?
Her heart, yeah.
Well, it would just be
any Turkish people.
Wouldn't it just be kalp because it's
kalp, maybe.
Kalp.
Anyone who speaks Turkish, you can correct us in the comments. Anyway, sorry guys, I'm getting distracted by your comments. I know. So she gets to him. I love when she like grabs his face after he kind of comes to, and I love it because he's like, I did it. Like I got you this day. Which of course he's like making a joke. Now my only beef to pick is when he's like, I don't need to see a doctor.
I know.
He's Serkan Bolat.
And then later when they're at the doctor and the doctor's like, are you having any pain?
I actually love
that so I was like, would Serkan do this? I know he's being silly.
We can debate that on our Would Serkan
but like
episode.
He he's paranoid.
Yeah.
Health obsessed Serkan. So part of me was kind of thinking, okay, would he be this cavalier about the situation?
Yeah.
I don't know that he would be.
I mean, he was he was the whole time. He didn't have his memory, which didn't make sense either.
Right.
He wasn't really about seeing any of the head doctors or anything like that. But yeah, I did love though when the doctor asked him if he had pain and he's like, yes, I get this pain in my heart. And he's like, can you describe it? And he's like, when people I love are leaving me. Oh my gosh. And
I mean, it was cute. I just had
cute.
to see, this is so dumb. I was like, I had to kind of suspend my disbelief for a fictional character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. We've all had to.
Yeah.
So yeah. They're at the hospital. They have that cute moment. They still want to run like an EKG or something. So Edda steps out. And I love how Serkan's like, I don't need an EKG. Like, my heart's fine because she's with me.
I know.
Oh, and he does when he's like, when they're left alone for a minute. And doesn't he take her hand and like put it on his heart?
Yes, it's this whole cute thing.
I did love that.
I did take screenshots of that part.
Oh, good. I did not.
Because
it was so good.
It was really cute.
Well, and it again felt very reminiscent of episode 24 scene, the shaving scene in the bathroom, the one that we all love. And anytime I get reminded of that, or I feel like I'm getting a callback to that, I just love it because it's like there's our Serkan.
Well, because he basically is like, you know, why didn't you go? And she makes her pathetic excuse. Yes. She's like, and it got really bad when I went into the corridor. I couldn't go because if I got on the plane, it would get worse. So I had to come back. And so he's like, look at me. He says, I don't want to be without you. My heart aches when I am without you. Evidently, your heart didn't allow you to go either. And you returned. He's like, our hearts are alike. And he's like, look how great, look how well, how nicely my heart is beating now. Well and sound, healthy. Why? Because you're with me. And I was like, okay, that's very cute. But then she brings up a good point. Serkan, you have a kid.
Yes. And yes, she absolutely does. She says, well, there's still a child to consider in all of this.
Yeah.
And that's when, and he says, it doesn't matter, even if the child is mine, like,
and he's like, we remember, we don't know. It might not be.
Because as we remember, he half a nanosecond after he was told Celine was pregnant, he was like, impossible, because I never slept with her.
Yep.
But then, of course, Celine manipulated him, made him kind of question it, whatever. So that's when the EKG nurse comes in.
Yeah.
And Edda's like, okay, I'm going to step out while you do that. Well, God bless you, Fikret and Kareem, because it's barely 7 minutes into the episode.
I was so
And you
proud.
solved in 7 minutes. In 7 minutes, you solved what the previous plot decision makers could not do in 7 episodes. So
did you notice and enjoy the shade that was thrown this episode?
Oh,
at those old writers?
100%.
I was when Edda and Milo are at the office and they're talking and they're like, Milo's like, you guys overcame so much. I mean, come on. What Denise, Celine, who am I missing? Oh, Sayman. And then Edda's like, and don't forget Baba Ane, Balja.
Although Baba Ane and Balja were their characters, were Fikret and Kareem's characters. But,
but maybe they're kind of like laughing at themselves. Yes. And they're like, and then the plane crash, and then the memory.
Yeah, so I think they're definitely making fun of themselves too. Because they had a hand in all of those. Because they wrote 29 and 30.
And then it just steamrolled
after
got out of control.
I truly believe that if they had been here for the whole amnesia plot, I mean, it goes without saying we wish Aisha never had left or anything like that.
Yeah.
But that's not the reality. So
it would not have lasted.
But I don't think
long.
Fikret and Kareem, I always want to say
no
Kareem. I don't think they would have dragged it for 7 episodes. Or if they did, we would have actually seen them like falling back in love, not just been told as
Serkan is a big fat jerk that I want to hit.
So anyways, in 7 minutes, Celine is exposed. Now, we did not get, Edda hears her on the phone and she's like, well, Denise, the kid is yours, but you need to think smart because if you act correctly, then I can have Serkan, you can have Edda, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And, so she's exposed because Edda overhears her. So she drags her into Serkan's room And then she's like, confess, So she basically is like, the baby's not yours. It's Denise's. Now, okay. Upon thinking back on this, I still wish we had gotten like a really big, like dressing down comeuppance.
Yeah, yes. For Celine.
But if I was thinking about this, if we are noting things based on Kiara, I think that's how you say her name, her whole like narcissist breakdown of Celine last week, the best response to a narcissist
is for them not to get the attention.
So the fact that he wasn't like, you cheated on me, he could not care less that she cheated on him.
Right.
Because he doesn't love her.
Yeah. He's just like, I knew it. I knew I never touched her.
And then for Celine to have to admit out loud.
Yes. Oh, that was delicious.
That
it was
you never wanted me.
You made that very clear, she said. And we all said, oh. Oh, it was beautiful.
Yes.
It was a beautiful moment.
Yes. Because although she just got to leave pretty much scot-free after that. I mean, she has to have a baby with someone who we're assuming she's having the kid.
Right.
With someone she doesn't love, who doesn't love her. Like, she does not even get to be a part of Serkan's life anymore.
And Serkan and Eda are going to be happy, which is the whole thing she was always trying to prevent and ruin, and the whole thing that she never wanted to happen.
Exactly. So while it wasn't the big public humiliation that she absolutely deserved, the fact that it was so underdone is like, well, he doesn't even give a tiny iota of crap about you to even have an emotional reaction to this.
That's a good point.
Like, just be gone. You mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
Like, so looking back, I'm like, okay. And I think they were having to work with, of course, like Bige's schedule and the things happening in her personal life. So, I feel like it's easier to digest that whole send off.
Yeah.
That way. So
I can track with that.
Yeah.
Me
too.
Yeah.
So, So now.
So at least that's done.
Yes.
And it's over with. There is no more pregnancy plot. We can put all of the amnesia behind us.
Yes.
I feel like that was kind of the final closed door on that whole situation. So thankfully. And then Sarah Khan's little I told you so was so funny.
I mean, okay, listen. Eda was totally right in like her whole, listen, like there's a baby on the way. There's more to consider.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Not just about us. So this is not.
And not saying that she loves him because he could have been a baby daddy and she's got to protect herself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But stamp here. I have the timestamp. So.
I'm like, can we refresh it or?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. Oh, they're all saying hi again and welcome back. So
that's weird.
Okay. We're back. Sorry, you guys. We're not sure what happened. We didn't do anything. So
yeah, we didn't do anything.
We just patiently waited.
Oh, maybe refreshing just fixed it.
Yeah. Okay. So if that happens again, you guys just hit refresh. We don't want to hit refresh because we're afraid.
I know. We don't want to lose the stream.
Reset the stream
fully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeesh. Okay. Awesome. So anyhow, the tattoos. So
yes,
I more than liked, less than loved. I do understand though, maybe like after everything they've been through, like him just wanting to be like, I want to do something that is permanent. I want to do something that is long lasting, both symbolically and literally.
Sure.
So I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was completely out of place.
Right.
I just really missed their rings. So I do hope those come back into play. I also thought maybe, just maybe, it was a little message from the writers saying like, look, this is a very permanent thing. So maybe it was their way of telling us they don't have plans to like tear them apart.
Maybe
during however long their reign is, whether it's the rest of the series.
That's true because the tattoo artist was like, oh, are you sure? Because many couples will do this and then they break up. And so maybe that was kind of their way of telling us
we're not going to tear them apart, you guys.
Yes. Like from now on, they're together and don't worry, we're not going to have them break up anymore.
That's what I think.
Well, okay, then I appreciate that for what it is then.
Yeah.
I think I'm just I'm not into that. So personally, I think my biases that I probably would never do that myself made me think like, I don't know how I feel about this. It's fine. Yeah. But if they're using it as more of a message to the viewers, to the fandom, then I'll take it.
Yeah, I agree. So they're doing that. Also, while that's all happening, Art Life is like freaking out in a good way that Ed Sarah's back. Like things are good. Like
Idon comes, she's excited, everybody's happy. Engen wants to throw another party.
Yes, and I do love too that they're kind of are all like Denise and Celine. Like it's very clear that they all know and found out. So while Celine's not there to be publicly humiliated, she is like, they all have her number and they all like know she's the snake we've all known she was.
They know that she's trash.
Exactly. So they're doing that. Ed and Sarah kind of come back from getting their tattoos and they, oh yeah, I'm so glad I just saw that comment. I actually meant to talk about that. A lot of people were saying it's a callback to episode 2 because when they're at lunch with Celine and Farid.
Okay.
And they're talking about how, oh yeah, I was going back and forth to London to see him. You know, they're making up their whole backstory.
Oh yeah.
And, basically like, yeah. And I just thought, there's a comment about the rings and she does talk about having his name tattooed on her finger.
Oh.
And we do know that Fikret and Kareem are good about
calling back.
So I can totally concede and agree that it was maybe a callback to that at the time sarcastic comment.
Sure.
But now
they're cute and in love.
Exactly.
So that's cool.
Yeah. So of course they want to throw a party, but Ed and Serkan just want alone time. Hello. We all want that for them too. So they sneak out, but we do pan over to the doctor for a hot minute. Worried about.
And then really quick, where the heck was Ifair in that scene when she's on the phone?
She's in the outdoor kitchen at the Bolat household.
I was like,
isn't that weird?
Why is she there? Where is she? What's going on?
And why wasn't
she
then
she's calling Idon.
Yeah.
I don't know. That just threw me off.
Maybe she was there with Safie, but Safie was with Idon.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah. Maybe they couldn't shoot. Oh, but they were in the house. I don't know.
I know. They were all just at that location at some point, and they were like, let's just have her be in the kitchen. Yeah, because depending on her schedule or availability,
it was just so random. It felt so random to
she's on the phone with her.
Yeah,
not even at her own house.
Yeah, so weird. Anyway, No, so
you're right.
We're back. The doctor
you're right.
has figured out from other tests,
that something's wrong, and he doesn't expect this from such a young and healthy person. We don't know what exactly that means yet.
Right. He consults
a very well-known top surgeon or doctor or whatever in the country. So anyways, so Ed Sarah ditches, they sneak out, and in true DZ fashion, in 6-minute dryer logic, Serkan somehow had time to plan
a very elaborate date.
A very elaborate date and surprise.
He got not an orchestra because it wasn't that many people, but a small orchestra.
Yes.
What am I thinking? Like a quartet.
Yes. There you go.
My brain.
Yes.
To hide on the street but I felt like it was a very Edda date.
Oh, it totally was, because even when they're okay, first of all, cinematography.
Yeah, cinematography.
But I'm trying to use it as an adverb. Cinematographically speaking.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I loved the shot when they first pan in on that date, and it's from higher up, and you see all the lights, and they're the only ones on the street. I don't know. I really love that. It kind of reminded me of how much I loved the autumn walk in episode 18. I just really liked that shot.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we pan in on their walking, and as far as we can tell, it seems like they have dinner plans somewhere, and then there's a concert after they're going to go to.
Right.
So they're walking,
and he's acting like it's fancy dinner because she sees the stand and she's like, "Oh, please, can we just grab one of these on our way?" And he's like, "We're not eating here, Edda."
And he concedes pretty quickly for someone who doesn't eat street food, but he's already eaten at a farmer's market and survived. So, and he ate at the Mahale soup shop.
Yes,
so.
he did. Yeah.
So growth that we're proud to see.
Yeah.
But he does say, no hot mustard for me. It's too spicy. But Edda, she's like, Bobby, put plenty on his too. And so it's cute. It's funny because they bite into it. He's choking.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, can I just say how much I appreciate our anonymous sub angel. I feel like we say this every week. But during the scene like this, there was a mathematical joke made that totally went over my head the first time.
Oh, I didn't see this part with
because Edda's telling him well, it clears up your sinuses.
Well, yes.
So he makes a comment about it's clearing up everything, a sine and my cosine, because it's the same exact word for mathematical sine and your sinus. It's just sinus, SINU with the not umashuk. The dots.
Okay,
I forget what those are called. So both of those words mean the same thing. Or I'm sorry, it's the same word with two different meanings. So he was making a mathematical joke my sinuses and my cosines are both open. Okay. Which I appreciated. And he explained that in the parentheses. And then in the second half, he explains so many of the jokes and the banter that it made it way, way funnier for me watching it with subs. So just a shout out to him and a thank you for that.
Yes, seriously.
But anyways, so they are doing that. And she's like, okay, are we going to be late? Do we need to get to dinner? Isn't the concert going to start soon? And he's like, Edda, the music starts whenever we want. And then he makes eyebrows at the people all hiding in the shadows, and they all come out. Pause or anything.
No.
Sorry for everyone who's listening to this as a later podcast episode. This stuff probably won't be very fun for you.
Last time when I commented, I don't know if it boosted it.
And don't worry, you guys, if you miss some of the stuff we're saying, we're going to have this available to watch. So it looks like we've come back. We're not sure why it's happening.
Maybe the whole commenting thing, when I comment, boosts it back.
Maybe.
And kind of restarts.
Yeah.
Restarts it.
Everyone's like, you guys are talking about the best scene. We are. And listen, we're gonna upload this to watch afterwards. So if there's stuff you missed, because it's not freezing for us as far as our timer's still going.
Timer's still running.
Yeah. So hopefully this stuff doesn't freeze for you. But anyways, so we were just talking about how he asked her to dance because he had already known that she was gonna want to stop at that sausage cart and eat there, not at a fancy restaurant. So he already planned to have the musicians in place. And then, he asks her to have this dance, and they dance. And the song's actually really beautiful. It's already on the playlist, on our Spotify playlist. And so, we get a good 3 minutes of them just dancing and enjoying one another and smiling and stealing little kisses and all that. And it starts to rain, of course, because how perfect is it to just start raining in the middle of all of that? And someone's laughing at that I called it a sausage.
I know. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
Well, I mean, that's essentially what it was, right?
I mean,
so anyway, so it starts raining. They dance a little bit in the rain still, but then it kind of starts coming down. And he kind of shelters his jacket over both of them, and then they run back to his apartment.
Yes. And then he hits a love bell.
Okay, so listen. Listen. That was another little hidden message from Fikret and Kareem, because there are these.
Because they're in love. So they're like, look, guys.
Okay, first of all, I'll tell you about the bell in a minute. But first of all, they stumble into the house. They can barely keep their hands off each other. They're taking their coats off and all that. He lifts her, or he picks her up by her tiny waist, but then holds her up only one-handed because his other hand is busy. And he's just barely got his arm around her back. And she's like spider monkey. Oh, sorry, I hit your microphone. Like spider monkey wrapped around his waist. And yes, we caught the kiss at the door, you guys. When they could bear, they're kissing as they're trying to unlock the door. But anyway, so as they're walking off, before the scene fades to black, because they don't want to get fined for tearing down the family structure, they hit this bell that says ring for love. Okay. There are these bells. I don't know what it initially is from, if it's from a show or whatever, but there are these bells that say ring for sex. So obviously they couldn't put that. So they did ring for love. So I think it was them telling us, hey guys, they're about to.
Okay. Because I was like, what are they what is this? Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. That makes way more sense. I was being such a hater about it. I was like,
oh my gosh.
This episode, I was like battling myself because I don't usually go for the really cheesy stuff.
Right.
But then at the same time, I'm such a hypocrite, you guys, because like if my husband did half the stuff that I'm like, that's cheesy. If Eric did that, I'd be like, you're so sweet. I love you so much. So I'm just a hypocrite. But something about certain things, if I see them on screen or whatever.
Yeah, or read them in a book.
Right. Sometimes, and I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if there's things where I'm like, in one situation, I'm like, oh my gosh, swoon, I love this so much. And then other situations, I'm like, this is really cheesy.
Everyone's laughing at you guys. Ashley is the funny one. Everyone's like, we love Ashley's sound. We love Ashley's laugh.
Stop.
Ashley says the funniest
I am not the only. Listen, it takes two of us to do this podcast. And you're just as funny. Half the stuff we have like on merch and stuff is from you. I feel like it's so equal. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. So I'm really not jealous, you guys. I love it.
If I'm the funny one, I'm also the one who's like can't, socially interact. I'm the one you meet in public and people are like, is she okay? Kristen's like, so hi! and everybody immediately is like, oh, I like her. Oh, I want to be her friend.
Oh my goodness. And it's funny because you say that, but it's like we've been friends so long, I don't ever know that part of you.
Oh, I know.
Like you're not like that with me, but
I know.
Yeah.
I think I scare people when I meet them, and just because like if I'm in a social situation with people that I don't know, I don't have anything. It all just leaves my mind.
You don't like talking about meaningless stuff. That's why.
I just hate small talk so much.
Yeah, and it's hard to not talk about meaningless stuff with people you don't know because you're not just going to be like, let me open my soul for you, stranger. Like, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So
this isn't anything we've never said before.
So ring for love. I'm pretty sure that's what that was a reference.
Okay,
to.
well.
It was them being like, guys, they're going to have sex.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Ring for love.
So, anyways, sorry guys, I keep reading your comments.
I know we're getting distracted.
So, Kemal Bey during this time calls Idon. She's still resisting for what I think are very stupid reasons. Like,
I know.
They don't really make sense. But it seems like we're going to start breaking that down.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm not too mad about it.
Yeah, they were together this whole episode.
Yes. And basically, we can kind of condense their stuff because I've been calling Idon, Ifair, and Safi Three's Company. That's like just what I've been referring to them as. And so two of the Three's Company are basically going to reverse psychology her to get him to like, actually talk to him. Well, because
they're seeing the logic and they're like, what's the problem?
Well, you guys were kids. You can't really hold that against him.
Yeah.
And, for me too, I'm like, okay, you finally see your son. He's like finally getting the woman he loves. He's finally made it through all the hell they've put him through and back.
Honestly.
So if anything, you think that would also serve as an encouragement to her? Like,
you would hope so. Live your life, Idon.
Exactly.
Be happy.
Be happy. So, they spend this whole time reverse psychologying her and talking about how she's old enough to be a young grandmother, but a grandmother and like time wasting away and all this stuff. So they get her to basically agree, like she's going to give him a chance. And then they've already called him though. So like 20 seconds after she's like, I'm going to give him a chance, he shows up at her door and asks her to go visit a friend that they both know who just lost her husband, which put a pin in that because obviously it connects to the other half of the episode. So now it's the next morning. We get really cute at Sarah Snuggles because I love when he is just like brushing her hair back from her face.
And she's waking up and her makeup is perfect.
Because she's Hyundai. And she's like, am I dreaming? Are you really here with me? And then he's like, this is probably something he found cheesy because he was like, every day for the rest of our lives is going to be a dream.
That's the part that that's where I wrote Sarkon's tumor is making him cheesy. Oh, so goodness. Funny.
Oh, people are saying we're even funnier when they can see us.
Because you can see our mannerisms. So, and then this is, when we find out he doesn't necessarily have a tumor. It might be.
Right.
They have to do more tests and figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah, because they both have meetings. He's got one at a construction site. She's got one at the office. So they have to get up and get ready. So after a cute little tickle session and all this stuff, they get up and get ready. He gets the phone call, though. So instead of going to the meeting, he goes to the doctor.
Right.
And he's basically told, which this sucks that he was alone for that.
I know.
Like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I feel like very luckily I have not had to have terrible medical news delivered to me personally.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe they'd be like, hey, can you come in and, maybe bring someone with you if you feel like just some like,
right.
I don't know. It just was like, that's some really life-altering news to get by yourself.
Yeah. It's really heavy.
Yeah. So anyways, they tell him, he's like, I consulted the most prestigious.
Yeah.
I always want to say prestigious. And I feel like I ask you.
Prestigious might also be correct.
Any English majors in here? Prestigious.
Somebody go to dictionary.com.
Yeah. So anyhow, this doctor's been consulted. He thinks the same thing, but they apparently still have to run more tests. So he's like, hey, I just gave you terrible news, but live your life
by the way, you might have a tumor. So why don't you have like a, third life crisis right now and start to plan an entire bucket list when this is maybe something that you're going to be dealing with.
So he leaves. He gets back to the office. And let's put a pin in that. Do we want to talk about all the Ingen Pearl stuff? We can kind of condense that.
Yeah. That was so. Yeah, I kind of. Forgot about
the reason I want to talk about it is because of 30, because that man deserves all the rights.
He is always saving everybody. Everybody.
Now, I don't know where Jaren was. I mean, I know they said she was with her mom. I don't know if Melissa just was sick or had other obligations or anything. She wasn't in this episode.
Yeah.
But seeing him and Melo team up, I was like, man, why didn't they pair them up? Like from the beginning.
I know.
They're so cute.
I know. They're both the sweetest sweethearts. And they would be so good to each other. They would be like Jane and Mr. Bingley. They would just be the nicest.
That is
the nicest two
comparison.
People. And they deserve everything.
I agree. But now we can't have that happen because it would just make her look like she's a backstabbing friend. So
I know.
Anyways, so Ingen and Pearl has a doctor's appointment, and she tells Ingen, like, you don't have to come.
You don't have to come.
Now, listen, I'm speaking to myself here as well. I do this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But like I do this, Jason, all the time. Even though I like know better, but I'll like say one thing and mean another, or I'll just sort of be like, but really I already know like what I want him to say. And I'm like, but I want you to come to that conclusion on your own, not because I'm telling you to come to that conclusion, but it never works. And then I wind up frustrated. He winds up frustrated because he's like, well, why didn't you just tell me that's what you wanted from the beginning?
Right. Why aren't you just straightforward with me?
Exactly. So I totally related to Peril in this situation, but also was like, you dummy, just say we have a doctor's appointment and I would like you to be there. Man, everyone really likes your comparison. So,
well, and I agree because I've totally done the same thing. Yeah. It's like when they ask you, where do you want to get dinner? And you're like, I don't know, you pick.
Mm-hmm. And then they suggest a place and I'm like,
and you're like, no, I don't want to eat there. No, definitely not that. Yeah, I get it, but basically she just says, you don't have to come.
Right. And it's immediate because when he walks out and he's like, okay, cool, I'll just finish work. She kind of mumbles to herself like that. Okay, I'm the logical one. You're the one that's so I kind of got it because I think for her it was like, well, the logical side of me is saying it's just a quick appointment. He doesn't need to come.
Right. But like, of course she wants him there too. Yeah.
So
of course she would want
it winds up being obvious to everyone because she says several different times, okay, I'm going to leave for my appointment soon. Okay, I'm leaving for my appointment. And then she leaves and it's Layla. Is Erdem there?
Well, because he even asks Layla and Erdem later on, like, what do you guys think? Do you think I should go? And they're like, well, how did she say it? And even Layla tells him, like, oh, then don't go.
Yeah.
Oh, she said it like that, then don't go. And he's kind of like, oh, okay, he feels better about it.
But then later, when she's actually leaving, Ferit is there, Layla's there.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Erdem's there, but, Ferit... When she leaves.
I think Erdem is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
When she leaves, Layla kind of scolds him like, yes, I know what I was saying, but also like, you should know your wife, blah, blah, blah. But really the star of the scene is Ferit because he says, do you have a suicide wish? Have you written your last will and testament? Like, you don't just let your pregnant wife go off to an appointment that you're perfectly capable of going to with her. Like, of course you need to go. And then the light bulb turns on finally. And he's like, oh my gosh. And he like goes with her and the appointment goes well. And it's emotional and cute at the end.
Right.
But Ferit rescuing everyone.
I know. He rescues everybody.
I just love him. And I'm like,
I know
we had good reason to be suspicious of him at the beginning, but I'm like,
but he has proven himself time and time again that he is worth more than almost
he's good as gold, you guys.
He is. I know. I love him.
So anyways, that's the Ing and Pearl stuff. I don't even really want to talk about Laydem because as funny as this whole comedic side of the episode was, even the Erdem stuff.
Oh, the Erdem stuff was funny.
I just still am not here for Laydem. Like,
yeah, it's still weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Sorry.
But I did really enjoy the Erdem madness.
Oh, me too.
It was
during the live watch, when he's put in charge, I was like, watch you guys, he's going to totally kill it with Kemal Bey. Like he's going to wind up really, and Kemal likes him. He likes his approach. He likes this. And I was like, I knew that was going to happen because he's such an Erdem. Yeah. But I was like, watch him totally shine in what's supposed to be like a total joke.
Yeah.
And he kind of does. So I did appreciate that.
And then he gets power crazy and that was hilarious.
He gets power crazy.
And I really liked the touch that when when Layla gets the call from Serkan to change someone's life.
Yeah.
And how he's going to put Erdem in charge, how he's like building, using the cups to build a little city. And he's like, I am dying. In English, I was cracking up. I was like, okay, they are playing to Sarp's strengths with this kind of stuff, totally. 100%. And I loved every
Me too.
Of it.
Me too.
Him just being such a child and so good. So good. So that whole thing of him taking over, trying to fire people, I mean, that's kind of the whole thing.
Yes,
with that storyline.
It really is. Yeah. Like he does well, but then he gets power hungry. He's rude to everyone. He's bossing everyone around. He tries to fire Melo and she's like, you can't even change the brand of tea here without Serkan's approval. You really think you can fire me? Like, haha.
Everybody calling him Bay.
Bay.
When
he's like, I have a strawberry allergy. I have a tick where I need all the chairs pushed in. He's like literally absorbing Serkan's personality.
And then when he calls Serkan and Serkan has to call him Engin Bey, Erdem Bey, and he like practically spits it out because he can't say it. He hates it so much.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
So good.
It was really good.
So that's that basically the whole situation that's happening between everything else. So this next part's kind of the last part of like the really emotional, like meaningful type stuff for the episode is when Serkan shows up at Idda's house. He's on a motorcycle. I'm sorry, before that though.
Yeah.
Going through the box. Okay. Do you think that was his box or his brother's box?
I assume it's his brother's stuff.
Okay, no, I thought that too, but then I was kind of hoping then the voiceover would have been a different voice, not his, when he's reading that note.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe it's like a box from his childhood, like when he was still a kid, carefree, before he got shipped off to boarding school.
Maybe, or like something he had written down after his brother died.
Maybe.
Of like, to kind of remind himself to take advantage of life.
Yes.
To live life to the fullest.
Yeah. I think it, I think we're kind of skipping around, but he reads the note that he has written down on that thing that says, life is not yesterday, tomorrow, or the upcoming months. It's not the days passing while you make future plans. Life is today, right now. And, I love that. And that's basically what the whole entire rest of the episode is a result of him reading that.
Because he's reminiscing. He's thinking about Edda, about the trips that they were talking about, going to Paris, and all of the moments that they've had together when he stopped her on her way to Italy. And you can kind of see the resolve in his face.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll backtrack just a little bit because I really love the scene when he shows back up to work after just receiving this, crazy medical news. He gets to work. He's clearly distracted. Edda can kind of like see something is wrong, but isn't really sure to what degree. And she doesn't super duper push. She basically is like, I tried calling you. And he's like, well, my phone, I turned it on silent for the meeting. Like
I forgot to turn it back on. Yeah.
He's like, but can we work in my office? Like, I want to talk to you. And she's like, sure. Let me finish up with Melo.
Yeah.
She finishes up with Melo and shows up in the office. And he is just like watching her as she walks in the whole time. Gosh, there's so many times in this episode where I'm like, oh, the way he looks at her.
I know.
Like,
I know.
I'm like, were you really acting? Were you really acting there? Because listen, in the Instagram live they did on whatever day that was, a few days ago, okay, listen, you guys, they see the stuff people post, even if we don't tag them, they see it. And he was talking about picking up litter because the beach they were filming at was really messy and it was sad to see how trashed it was. So he was like, listen, if you love your country, and he literally said, and I love mine, wink, eyebrow raise, tilting of head to the person next to him, smirk on his face. He knew what he was doing to this fandom, okay? He knew. So he knew by saying he loved his country. He knew. So anyways, I don't think that can be argued. So,
I mean, it's hard. It's hard not to see the way his eyeballs drill laser beams
of hard eyes, laser beam hard eyes
at her, and not have some speculation happen. Okay.
Oh my gosh. I know.
It just,
see, look, people agree. Like, he smirked on purpose. He knew. He totally did know. I came at the exactly perfect time.
I mean, and so in these scenes, when like that whole moment of her walking up and he's looking at her, it's one of those scenes where you're like,
you actually feel your heart
like
want to,
yes, you're like tense all over.
You want to like pull your skin off.
Yes.
And like, I know.
Yeah. And it's like you're seeing this really intimate moment between two people, and you're like, I shouldn't be here.
Exactly.
I shouldn't be watching this. This is just for them.
And that's when it's like you can just really appreciate how, because no matter what is or isn't going on with them in real life, this is a fictional scene where they are surrounded by cameras and all this other stuff. Like they're in a fishbowl.
So to do that in front of an audience, wow.
I know.
I mean,
so and she even says, why are you looking at me like that? And he's like, well, how am I looking at you? And she's like you're seeing me for the first time.
Like you want to eat me when we leave here.
That too. And he's like, well, that's exactly how I feel every time I see you. It is like the first time. Like, I don't think I took screenshots, but he is like, it is the first time. And when he goes, it reminds me of that scene in episode 13 when they're getting ready to leave for the night. And he's like, how are you real? Like, when he like exhaled like that, I was like, oh my God. And, and she's like, she just smiles and he's like, I forget who you are. And she like leans down and whispers, she's like, I'm Edda Yildiz. And he's like, and he's like, see, you even make me forget who I am. And she's like, you're Serkan Bolat, Robot Bolat. And it's very cute. And so then these are my favorite camera shots. I don't know if it's Hakan or whoever is in charge of this camera work, when they give us the perspective of, it's literally Serkan looking at Edda.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like focused just on her face, and it's kind of garbled because he's so focused on her. He's not fully hearing what she's saying. Because we saw that in episode 7, the beginning, when he gives her the guitar pick. We saw that again in episode 17 when they're sitting on the couch and they're finishing that drawing.
We saw it in the library.
We saw it in the library in 18. And I think that was the last time we saw it.
Yeah.
So to like have another view like that, I was so happy, even though it was like because of a sad thing.
Right.
So he's just kind of nodding and going along with the things she's saying. And, you know, so he kind of basically says he forgot also what he was going to tell her. And she's like, okay, well, you'll tell me when you remember.
Yeah.
But you can tell she's not pushing, but she, you know,
she knows that there's something
her
happening.
heart knows like something is up.
Yeah. Because she knows Serkan.
That's true. So anyhow,
can we talk about the next morning when he's in that leather jacket and I wanted to rip the skin off my face because I was like, what?
I know.
Excuse me.
Where has this Serkan been? And he's just in like, he's just in jeans.
Gosh.
Have we ever seen him in jeans before?
I don't know. And then he had
so
very
much
specific scruff.
So much specific
it was like this perfect amount. And I was like, I might have paused when he showed up. It was and then he's art.
Like, and then he's like leaning against the bike. Listen,
and
Ashley
he's got that like cocky smile, and he's like, Is the fan on?
Fan's on. Yeah, he's like leaning against the bike. He's got those black boots on, and the jacket, and he's just like you said, like leaning. Listen,
he was wearing the jacket. The jacket was not wearing him. That is for dang sure.
The lean, though, you guys.
The lean.
There's this thing about leaning we love. Most of the time, it's in a doorway, and it's when jeans are slung low on their hips.
And why is it the leaning?
Why is the leaning? This was like a good doorway lean, but like to the exponential power because it's against a motorcycle.
Oh my gosh.
It's supposed to be this starched up dude who is very unstarched right
who
now.
Doesn't he's not a leaner.
No,
Serkan Bolat is not a leaner.
Never lean.
And then suddenly
he's not leaned in 38 episodes.
And then suddenly he's leaning.
He's leaning.
How dare they? Who do they think they are to do this to us? Well, we had to survive that.
This is our reward for surviving 30 through 36.
Sorry, Zuzu. Oh my god, I'm getting hot. Oh, I'm sorry, Zuzu. I'm disturbing her.
I know. I'm like, why did I wear a long sleeve?
Oh my gosh.
So, yes. So he calls Edda. He's like, look out the window. And she's like, oh my gosh, a motorcycle. I also loved that Melo got super excited and was like, and each day, will you take me for a ride?
Her reaction, I was like, this is a quintessentially Melo reaction. 100%. It was so cute. Yeah. It reminded me of the early days when she'd be like, he's here. Oh, what are you doing?
And she'd be like, hi, Anishte.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So
and
sweet.
He promises that he'll take her for a ride one day, which, oh my gosh, how cute would that be?
I know, little buddies. Except he needs to start calling her Melo again.
I know. The Malek.
Still.
I know.
I'm over it.
It's Melo time. We're 38
It's Melo time.
It's Melo time. So, anyhow, so Edda comes down. He has a helmet for her. She also puts on a leather jacket, and he then surprises her and is like, because she's like, we're riding to work like this. And he's like, we're not going to work at all. And she's like, well, where are we going? And he's like, where the road takes us. And she's very understandably like, who are you?
Who are you?
Because that is very much something Edda would have done.
Yeah.
Like, and
had to twist his arm to go along with it.
Even at one point when he's like, just learn to live and enjoy life, Edda. And she's like, you are telling me to what?
Yeah.
Because that's something very much Edda taught him.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the role reversal of it.
Yes. It was cute.
It was very cute. So they get on, they go for a ride. We get a bit of a riding montage. And at one point she had both her hands up really quickly. And I was like, that doesn't seem safe. But, all right.
It's pretty. I mean, they weren't turning or anything.
I know.
I'm only being that casual about it because I have been on a motorcycle.
Okay.
And if you're like behind, I mean, granted, I was little and I was riding behind my dad. So I was like,
I always forget your dad had a motorcycle
he did,
for the longest time.
Yeah. But you feel so like
secure.
Yeah. It wouldn't even be a big deal to put your arms up like that.
All right. Fair enough. Not people want not a leaner, and it's Malo time put on merch. It's Malo time. Oh my goodness. So so they get to their destination, which just seems like a place with a really nice view.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of see the freeway in the background. I assume that's like a freeway highway, but
they've got the bridge in the background. It's really pretty.
I know.
Maybe they're on the Bosphorus.
I was wondering if it's similar. It kind of reminds me of the area that Osger takes Ezgi, or Ezgi takes Osger to. One of them takes the other in Bayonlish, and it's like their favorite spot to just eat and kind of be at peace. It's at night though, so it's like a different. Oh, it looks different, but I wonder if it's a very similar area.
Maybe it's a similar area.
Anyways, so either way, it's gorgeous. The lighting in this scene is so good.
I know, it's great.
And Karem posted pictures from when they were filming this of just him, and then of course everyone's like, "Oh, who took those pictures?" But then Sefkat, the social media manager for MF Yapım, she ratted them out because then there's a behind the scenes video and it's Hyundai holding a phone taking pictures. I mean, we all knew already, but it's always nice to have that confirmation that she was the one snapping the photos. Someone else thinks it was the same as Bayonlish.
Oh, so, okay.
I get kind of proud of myself now when I like
if you can locate
if I recognize stuff.
I did this. I was proud of myself when I recognized that one of the houses from DEK was on Marashla.
Yes.
And I was like, I swear this is the same place. And it was.
It was.
I was like, yes.
I get really excited about that. So like, when I was watching Sheriff Meselesi near the last few episodes, the villain, they're going to like his compound and I'm like, is this the Bolat residence? And it sure was.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. The gate that he comes out of is the gate that like Idon comes out. So I was like, I think that's Idon's like gate. Like, anyways.
And that would be pretty recognizable, I feel like. Yeah.
So anyways, I just feel like we get like we're earning DZ badges, like Girl Scout badges, but like DZ badges.
Yeah. Oh, recognized a location in 2 separate DZs. You earn this badge. Yeah.
So anyways, they have a very kind of serious moment. And I kind of liked that. And I don't know if this was meant to be symbolic, but I feel like it was. She's behind him, so she can't really see.
They're not like looking straight into each other's faces. Yeah.
Yeah. And I felt like there was like that was like a metaphorical wall because he's not really telling her everything.
Okay.
Because I feel like it was a very specific thing that they weren't face to face while they were having this pretty serious.
Yeah, they didn't get off the bike at all. Yeah,
he didn't turn around to look at her. She's just. I mean, they're close, so it's an intimate conversation because they're physically close, they're emotionally close,
right?
So it's not like there was this distance between them, but there kind of was because he's looking this way, she's behind him.
Yeah.
So anyway, but also we just always look for stuff like that. So maybe it was meant to be something. Maybe it wasn't.
Maybe they just liked the camera angle better that way.
Yeah, and the way the light was coming through between them. But
to be able to shoot them both from one angle or something. Yeah.
But I would like to think that there was some meaning behind it. So,
but they have a whole conversation about living life and experiencing it.
Yeah. And she keeps telling him she's worried because she knows something's up.
Yeah.
She's kind of going with it.
Yeah.
Because she's like, well, what are we going to do? Because we have a meeting in an hour. And he's like, someone will handle it.
Yeah.
Which is just not something Serkan says.
No, not at all.
And, she's like, okay, so what are we going to do? And he's like, we're going to live life. She's like, okay. What does that mean? And, and he kind of repeats the note that he read.
Yeah.
Like, what life is, what life isn't.
Right.
It's not this. And, this could easily be attributed to all the time they lost during his memory loss.
Right.
To, the fact that now that they're together, he doesn't want anything else to come between them, which she could be assuming that's what it is.
Yeah.
But deep down, I think they're making it clear that she knows something else.
Yes.
Which, it's like, it's so nice to have show again and not tell.
Yeah. And to have that subtext that's just there and we know that it's there and we don't have to have it laid out in front of us.
Because she doesn't actually say to him, Sarah Khan, I know you're hiding something from me. She never says that. But we absolutely get the impression that she knows he's hiding something from her. Yeah. But she's also like not going to push. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So this kind of begins the whole bucket list thing where he's got his bag full of things that he wants to do. And then he's like, okay, I want you to write some stuff down. And then they're going to pick, and that's how they're going to choose. That's how they're going to spend their day. Yeah.
And do you notice the way, again, he's looking at her while she's writing her list stuff? Oh,
I know.
Gosh.
I know.
Anyways, so she writes a bunch of stuff down, and so then they're going to mix it up. This is when I do appreciate that she's like, okay, wait, before we pick this, like, what's going on? Why are we doing this? And he's like, because I just want to live life. I want to enjoy the moments. He's like, aren't you the one who's always telling me to change? And she's like, yes, but I don't mean these giant changes because, again, we already established way back in the 20s, like she doesn't want him to change who he is.
Right.
But just to become this better version of himself. And, he's like, this is just what we're going to do. And, we're going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to embrace it. We're going to this, we're going to that. And, he is like, so let's do this. So she's like, okay, let's do it. Like, let's see what we draw.
Yeah.
So they mix everything up.
And she picks the first one, right?
Well, she was going to, but she's like, no, this was your idea. You pick it.
And he picks change someone's life.
And I love what he says. He's like, what a very Edda Yildiz thing. Like which it is. It very much is. And so they're kind of discussing whose life they can change. Like, she's like, maybe we can do something for Melo a little bit. But then his phone starts to ring, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's office, and he's like, oh, I know exactly whose life we're going to change, because Layla's calling him to remind him of the meeting
and you're not here
with
yet.
Kim Abe. Yeah. And you're not here. And he's like, oh, I'm going to change Erdem's life right now. So he tells Layla to have Erdem run the meeting.
Yeah.
And everybody is shocked. The whole audience is shocked.
The audience is shocked.
As he's
Layla
pretending to be Godzilla in his little cup village. And then he changes Erdem's life in one day. So then they pick another one.
Yes.
And Ada picks this one. That's right. Because she's like, you can't be serious. We're not doing this. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever read. There's no way. He sees it and he's like, oh, yes, we are. This is something I've always wanted to do ever since I was a kid. And it's solve a murder.
Yes. And she's like, we have police for this. Like, what in the world? And he's like, haven't you ever watched like American crime shows, all this stuff? And he basically is like, let's really get into this. Like, we'll pick one out. Like, we'll see something. We'll look for a mystery that is unsolved. We'll go do it. So he picks out this one. This businessman went overboard, hasn't been found. We got to investigate the wife, all this stuff. And he's like, and I think we can kind of get a whole image for you. And she's like, oh, so you like really want to be into this.
Yeah.
And so the next
scene, undercover.
Yeah. The next scene is them in a different car. It's like a Corvette or a Camaro or something. It's not even Sarah Khan's car.
They ditched the motorcycle so fast.
Yeah. Where did the motorcycle go? So, and I wonder too, I wonder if this is Karem's motorcycle, because why? I don't remember where I wrote it down. Probably in the thread somewhere.
I mean, that would be convenient if he already.
Well, and there was something with the license plate. It was like his initials, or it was like KRM, where like it was in the license plate or something. And I was like, oh, I wonder if this is actually his motorcycle.
I don't know.
Anyways,
could be a coincidence.
But imagine if it's not.
But they could have just used it for convenience.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Karem, you have a motorcycle.
Right.
Let's have you pick it up on a motorcycle.
Like, leaning Sarah Khan would be like a real leaning Karem in real life.
Oh, like, I know like Karem
that
leans.
Probably.
That man leans. He probably leans all the time in real life. Oh, he's definitely a leaner.
You know what? Sarah Khan has leaned on the couch in episode 12. The couch lean when they're having breakfast.
Okay, but see, again, they're significant because they're so few and far between.
Yeah,
that's why it's a big deal, because as a person, Sarah Khan is not a leaner. A leaner is a very specific type of person.
You're right. And Karem is a leaner, but Sarah Khan is not. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's like in the recent book that I read, he is constantly leaning. She even makes a remark. No, Beach read.
Oh,
she even makes nope. It's okay. She even makes a comment like it's like he's so weighed down. It's kind of sad, actually. He says like
right up my alley.
Oh, Kristen, you will die. But like he's always got so much that he's thinking about that he can't even stand up straight, and he's constantly leaning on stuff. And I'm like,
and it's both metaphorical and physical.
It is. Okay. He physically is always leaning. And also, if you guys like a leaner, if you like to talk about leaning, you need to. Yes, but I was gonna say, I always think of While You Were Sleeping, because they had the whole conversation where he's like,
while you were sleeping,
Jack is like, he's leaning, and she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, he was leaning. He's like, there's leaning, and then there's leaning. So I don't know if that got so. We always watched that movie in my house as a kid, and I don't know if that got so soaked up into my psyche that now it's like
embedded
this
in your
thing.
DNA.
It's my id, where I'm like, oh, he's leaning on something.
He's leaning. Oh man.
Okay.
All right.
Anyways, we need to move on to solve a murder.
So now the title of the show has changed from Senchal Kapımı to Law and Order Special Edzar Unit.
Yeah.
Or CSI Istanbul. You can pick. So, because basically the entire rest of this episode, which I will admit while watching live, I was like, this is literally like the other half of the episode.
Oh, it was almost a full hour. Yeah.
But upon watching it with subs, which Miriam told me I should have trusted. Well, I did trust her, but it was like super obvious when watching, like, oh, she was super right. Because she had said, like, you're really going to like it with subs. Like, it's really funny.
Yeah.
And especially with our anonymous subs.
Yeah.
Because he took the time to like explain a lot of stuff in the he like added parentheticals with the explanation of certain jokes. So the whole car scene, I was dying watching it yesterday, because they're in the car and, you know, and she's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe like we've gone this far, because she's got her wig on, she's holding coffee and a donut, which I was like, how very American cop of you. Or stereotypical American cop. And they're just talking, and he's like, you know what your problem is? You think too damn much. And she's like, well, you know what your problem is? You're a pain in the ass. And this is when he's like, hey, calm down, in English. I want that as like my text tone. Every time you text me,
we gotta rip it so that you can have that whenever. You'll hear it a million times a day.
Every time Ashley texts me right now, it's just the Erkenci Kuş
intro.
Yeah. But now I think I need it to be Karem saying, hey, calm down, because reasons, obviously.
Yes, very important reasons.
And Ashley's the only person I regularly text. So.
Yeah.
Then so they're kind of arguing. He says, hey, calm down. And then he's like, don't you watch American detective shows? Like, this is how we do it. We have to research. We have to investigate. We have to this. And then he's like, hey, our destination's only 2 blocks away. Okay, this was totally them making fun of American crime shows, because blocks are not a thing over there.
Oh.
You don't say like, oh, this is 2 blocks away. So he's totally making fun of like probably Law and Order, because everything in New York is like blocks. It's this many blocks.
Right.
And so
it's just a huge grid in New York.
Yep. Yeah. And then of course the whole like male and female partners clearly are going to fall in love, even though they're supposed to just be like law enforcement partners.
Right. It's a total trope.
So he's like flirting with her, because he's like, you know what your problem is? Your shining eyes just radiating out of your beautiful face. And then she's like, I love you, you knucklehead. Like it. And then she's like, step on the gas. So they're totally like doing a bit of like what would be a stereotypical like cop show.
Because now they're detectives, so they've got to play the part. Yes. So good.
So it made me enjoy that scene like so much more. Anyways, so they get there. They say that they're from the insurance company. Which, like, we're from the insurance company.
Yeah. That reminds me there's only one.
It reminds me
they don't have to have a name of it.
It reminds me of those spam phone calls I get. I'll get voicemails. It's like, I'm calling from the alarm company. I'm calling from your car warranty is about to expire. If you don't want this to happen, you must call back. Or my absolute favorite, this is the IRS. And they're like, you owe us $1 bazillion. If you don't call us, we're gonna send the cops after you. And like, that's not how it works over here, by the way, for anyone who's not American. Like, no, that's not how it works.
They can't just do that.
No.
Yeah.
So
funny.
It's clearly spam, but that's what the insurance company reminded me of. So they get there,
so official.
Of course, we have crocodile tears from what's her face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jonan.
Yeah.
For her sad dead husband. Yeah. And so they basically start the whole investigation, and they go to the boat, they stay in her house, they talk to the landscape guy, they talk to the chauffeur. There's all these people that they talk to try to crack the case. I don't know how much we really need to get into it.
I mean, because this goes back and forth. They go to the boat, they talk to the captain. Of course, they kind of start disagreeing. Like, Ed is suspicious of the captain, right? But Serkan's pretty dead set on the lawyer. And all that. So they're kind of in disagreement. So they're like, well, we need to further investigate. Then they find out from like the landscaper that maybe dead husband wasn't in such a great place mentally and emotionally. He was writing in his notebook a lot.
Yeah.
He hated singing. So the story about him singing before he fell overboard was total crap. Like, especially because the wife couldn't even say what song he was singing, because like, as a wife who's distraught, you'd be like, yeah, he was singing his favorite song.
Well, you probably never forget what song was playing, what song he was singing, if you were really distraught over your husband dying and he was singing a song before he died.
Exactly. So thank you. Mohini just said she noticed my earrings, that they were pretty. Thank you. They're stars. I don't know if you guys can see them, but
I have you gave these to me, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they're like little.
It's like the Turkish flag.
The Turkish flag. It's a moon and then a little star inside. But my hair is always covering my ears.
Mine is usually too, but I pulled it back today because I just let my hair do its natural thing. And these, funnily enough, you guys, I have owned these earrings for like 3 or 4 years, but I just found them because I cleaned out my closet last week, as some of you know. And they still were like on the original, like the thing that, like when you first buy them, the little like paper thing that's attached to. From H&M. They were on clearance for 50 cents.
They're brand new.
They're brand new. And I was like, look, they're stars. It was meant to be. Because a lot of stuff I gave away. But these, I was like, I have to keep these. So anyhow, so what it all boils down to is that Serkan's like, we have to get this notebook because, hello, haven't you watched American crime shows? You need proof. You can't just go to the cops. Like, you know. And so
because they're going to trust these 2 random strangers anyway. Who have decided to solve this crime. Like, no connection to the family, no credentials whatsoever. No
law enforcement credentials.
Yeah. But we have to have evidence.
I was really hoping for like a callback to Muhteşem İkili. Like,
that would have been cute.
Mekaj. Like, it would have been really cool to call back to his character somehow. I mean, I don't know how they could have done that, but I would have, even if
they had code names or something.
Yes, or even if he had just said, like, we make a dynamic duo, like with Muhteşem İkili. Like, I don't know. I kind of felt like there was a missed opportunity there. So, anyhow.
So they're trying to solve the crime, and then everybody is trying to figure out what's going on. They, Erdem is doing his whole crazy thing.
Yeah. And they wind up calling Farid because they would normally call Jaren, but she's out of town.
That's right.
Because they're suspicious. So they want him to look into like the lawyer. They want to look in on, the lawyer, I think.
Yeah. The lawyer. And they end up talking to the lawyer's wife.
Yes. And so basically it just boils down to they're pretty sure something's going on between them.
Mm-hmm.
So they ask Farit to look into it. So then he's kind of suspicious because he's like, I don't even know what they're up to, but this seems dangerous. So he kind of confides in Milo and asks for Milo's help.
Mm-hmm.
So the two of them wind up in on this. So it winds up bringing everyone in on this because Kemal and Idon go to visit the widow, which we kind of talked about. And they run into Ed and Serkan there and have to pretend like they don't know them because they're being these fake personalities.
Yeah.
And so it just turns into this whole thing where everyone kind of winds up somewhat knowing where they are and kind of what they're up to, but not really.
Right. And then they stop answering their phones and they're like, what's going on?
Right.
Although I'm like, do they just have their location? Is that how they're able to figure out? It was just funny. They're like,
because they all wind up
their phone is off and they're not answering.
We don't know where they are.
We don't know where they are.
Where to go.
Yes. They all know the exact address and which door to go into. I was like, okay, DZ Land, DZ Logic.
DZ Logic. Here we go. So they get there that night. It's just Ed and Serkan initially, so they sneak in.
Right.
And What?
Well, I'm wondering if it's the same thing.
Tell me.
Him grabbing that dog.
Yes! Okay, that's Bashak's dog. That's Ajan.
So cute.
Okay, listen though. We were all robbed because Hector was supposed to be in a scene last week.
That should have been Hector's scene. I was like, why isn't that Hector? Who is that strange dog?
Well, my guess too though is like maybe because it is his dog, Hector would not have been very cooperative.
Oh, he probably would have just followed.
Although there's also a theory that he would have just immediately run to Hyundai and it would have outed that like
oh my gosh. Maybe that's why.
Uh-huh. So it ends up being Ajan. I think that's how you say his name. And he's adorable.
The way he grabbed him, I was like, oh.
So, well, he's used to picking up tiny dogs. So he's like super precious and gentle.
Big, huge, big Karem with the fluffiest
fluffy
little dog.
And he's like, are you a dog? Like, yeah, I guess you're a dog. But he's like
talking to him. Oh, I loved it so much. I was like, this is the best in the world.
Yes. Oh, Haley's here. Hi, DZ. Anyhow, so
oh my gosh.
Saying? Sorry, anytime we talk about Krem doing something cute, which
I
is
know.
Like every other minute.
It was so precious.
It was precious.
And then Hyundai's like kissing his little head.
Yeah, did you see that one? She's like, we need to put him back, but she picks him up and she like, kisses him and then like puts him back on the bed. So stinking cute.
You put a dog on the screen and I'm like, I melt.
Yeah, where they should have been doing this ages ago.
I know. But yeah, that made the whole scene.
That whole scene. And did you see the La Petite Prince
neon
fight in the back? I'm sure that was already just like in the house, whatever they were using.
But it was a happy coincidence.
But it was a happy coincidence.
Yeah. So they're looking for the notebook.
Yes. But Edda winds up opening. I thought she found the notebook because there was like a notebook looking thing next to the gun, but the whole focus is on this gun in the nightstand. Yeah. So she runs to Serkan. This is the other thing. I'm like, you guys are sneaking into someone's house.
They're being so loud.
And Edda's wearing those really unrealistic boots.
Yeah.
Girl,
total stage whispering.
Wear your Under Armour sneakers, y'all. Like, come on. You need like to be quietly like.
I know.
In, like, they're so loud.
Yeah.
So
picking up the stinking dog. I'm like, you guys are the worst detective.
The worst.
You will never make it in the world of spies and
mystery solvers and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, she calls Serkan in, but by the time they walk back into the room, the gun's not in the drawer. So Serkan, which I was like, okay, they're having fun, so whatever. But I was like,
I know.
You really
part of me was like, is some of this not is some of it unscripted?
I feel like a lot of this second half had to have just been improv, like because I mean, not that you can't act out very scripted, funny scenes, but I feel like you kind of need to just like riff on each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, because I was like, you really wouldn't believe her if she said there was a gun there, even if it's not there right now. Your immediate reaction should have been, oh my gosh, someone's in the house.
Right. Well, and yeah, I know. It was just funny. I mean, I did think it was funny, the comments, because she's like, it was looking at me in the eyes, and he's like, oh, did it say, Edda, I'm a gun?
Look, you guys finally got to see Ashley Serkan voice live and in person. That's like every week if you do that.
But he even did it. He had a Serkan voice where he did. Like the look on his face. There's another moment when they're in the other room. I think right after they put the dog down, and
that sounded like they killed the dog.
No dogs were harmed. But Eda gives him this look like and I want a gif of it because it's so funny.
Like from episode is it 30? And when he's
yes.
Like, and she's like, and he's like, wait a minute, and she's like, yes. Wait a minute.
Yes. Because he says something and then she makes this face like,
oh my gosh.
It's the best. But yeah, he's such a little butt. And he's like, oh, did it say it? I'm a gun, Eda.
Oh my gosh.
But then somebody's coming up the stairs.
And he like pushes her up against the wall. And his lips are like literally brushing against hers. And she's like, are you really doing this right now while we're hiding someone? And he's like, but I'm always in love with you. And she's like, really? And he's like, kiss me.
And then they do it again. And she's like, you're being opportunistic.
Yes. And he's like, haven't you ever read a book? And she's like,
he's like, this is a common tactic. Everybody knows about this. I read it in a book.
And she's like, was the name of that book How to Be an Opportunist? Like, and he's like, you're not being very nice right now. And he's like, kiss me. But then she actually does. Like, she leans in and like kisses his bottom lip. Mm-hmm. But then like they hear the noise.
Yeah.
People start showing up. Oh my gosh.
Right.
And this is one of the things where it's like, we can't really describe it. Just like the proposal, the formal proposal at Ifair's house. Like it just was so chaotic and crazy.
Yes.
Is like, yeah, obviously you all watched it, but it's hard to describe because it's right. It's really the full comedy is like when you're seeing it happen in front of you.
Yeah.
So everyone starts showing up though.
Yeah.
Melo and Fury first, right? Erdem
because
was in the trunk of the
and
car.
Pearl and Melo and Fury all come in the same car.
Yes.
And then Erdem had stowed away in the trunk. Because he's like, this is where they're meeting in secret without me. I'll show them. So it goes up. And then the new Fantastic Four shows up.
Yes.
With Aidan and Seifi and Ifer.
Oh, that's a good one. Fantastic Four. Because now
Kareem.
Because I kept calling it Kimal. I kept calling it Three's Company plus Kimal. But yeah, I like Fantastic Four.
Yeah, because they were the Three Musketeers. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
It's evolved.
Yeah, it's evolved.
So, they all wind up in there. Everyone's being loud. Okay, you're walking into a dark, unknown house. Common sense would tell you, let's just be quiet.
See that they're like hiding,
but they're like, "What's going on? Merhaba!
Hey, what are you guys doing here?"
So they're all hiding. They're all hiding behind this wall.
Yeah.
And at one point, they've heard what's her name? Janan has gotten home and she's on the phone with her lover.
She's like, Ashkam.
I don't like sneaking around now that basically husband Bay is not in the picture. She's like, I really don't like this whole sneaking around now. Yeah. And so they're basically waiting to snap a picture to catch her with whoever it is so they can go to the cops.
Right.
Erdem does get the picture, but
he puts the flash on.
In Erdem fashion, he did not turn the flash off. So none of the noise alerted these two and the loudness.
Yeah, none of the 12 people moving around in the other room. They're just happily ignorant.
And oh my!
But one flash,
yes,
and one camera sound.
One little camera click and a flash,
and they're like, "Who's there?"
They're all
who are you? What are you doing here?
So they get caught. They're basically all hauled into the living room to explain themselves because at gunpoint.
I did love that. I don't know if this was scripted, but the fact that Serkan is like, Erdem, you're the smallest. Go do it. And then when he's irritated that Aidan is like, where have you been? You're not answering my call. And he's like, Mom, I'm a 30-something-year-old man. I own my own company. What are you talking about?
Excellent point.
It was those little moments where I was like, this is hilarious.
And it's like, I wonder if this was just like, here's the basis of the scene. Have at it.
Right.
So anyways, so they all get caught. They all get shuffled in the living room. Now listen, this entire time, Serkan is not even the tiniest bit worried that they're being held at gunpoint, that Eda could die.
He's so casual.
So I'm like, okay, this is another DZ logic where I don't know when he had the time, but he clearly set this up. This has to be this cannot be like a real thing. There's no way on God's green earth.
Well,
if the woman he loves has a gun in her vicinity where she could be shot with it,
and he has no way to protect her,
that he's not only that calm about it, But at one point, he's like smirking and laughing.
He is. Well, it's him and Edda on the couch, I think, for the last shot. Yes. And he's just like, like, oh, he has a gun.
Yes.
And everybody else is like,
yeah. Or that his like pregnant best friend's teenager with her unborn child. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, Fatima, thank you. I've noticed more and more, and now it makes me want to go back and rewatch for these types of things in old episodes. Charit breaks character all the time, and his laughing in the background when he probably doesn't think the camera's
constantly.
I feel like he has the most fun on set because he just sits there in the background.
And they just keep the scene in there when he breaks.
He's like busting up, but it just brings such joy to my heart that I love him, and it makes me love Federic even more, even though he's not being Federic in those moments. Like, because he does that, I think, in this big old crowd too. He's like,
yeah, yes, yeah, hilarious. He just cannot. He breaks constantly
all the time.
Oh, it's hilarious.
He just must think he's not in the shot, but like
maybe
winds up in the shot, and
or they secretly love it, and they're like, Chara broke again.
So. Yeah, so that's how it winds up. Oh, but the husband does show up alive with the gun that Edda initially saw.
Yeah.
So he was the one in the house the whole time. And he basically reveals that his whole plan was to let them cash in on the life insurance.
Right.
Because then he was going to steal it from them and then reveal that he was, in fact, alive.
Right. But they ruined his plan.
So now he's going to shoot
kill them all, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, and also the wife was not just double timing hubby. She was double timing her. It was both the captain, the chauffeur, and the lawyer, right?
Yeah. She had 2 treats on the side.
Yeah. She sure did. So, she had a snack for each hand.
Yeah.
So, she's garbage. But
yeah, so you think it's set up. You think it's all fake.
It has to be because there's no...
Or there's going to be... Or I was thinking somebody's going to walk in like a cop or... It's something
like he already alerted the authorities, so he wasn't afraid of anything happening. But sorry, it takes half a second to pull a trigger if the cops aren't there yet. So I'm just like,
or it won't be loaded or something.
Yeah,
something. It's obviously gonna dissipate within the first 5 minutes. Next episode,
yes,
we know that's what's gonna happen
because that is not only these writers' style, which I appreciate for stuff like this. Which is why also I'm convinced if they had been around for all of the amnesia, it would have been over in a few episodes. Or if it was going to be 7 episodes, we would have literally gotten to see the steps of him like falling back in love with her and then getting to know each other again.
Yeah.
Anyways, someone says probably the actual insurance people will walk in or Alptekin will show up.
All I was thinking was like, this is way too messy for him to actually kill everybody. Yeah. Like, that's so many people, so many bodies he'd have to bury. I'm just thinking the logistics of it.
And, I mean, it's a small handgun. So you're talking
he's going to have to reload
10 rounds?
a few times.
Like, and assuming you actually hit everyone on the first try.
Yeah.
When you go to reload, you're going to get tackled to the ground anyways, and then you're just going to go to jail forever because you've murdered way more people.
Maybe Erdem will tackle him or something. Maybe it'll be something ridiculous.
It will be. That. He'll be like the unnoticeable one who comes from behind and like, or oh no, she can't be back yet. Dang it! Because I was like, it's not the season finale. If this was the season finale, how cool would it have been? Because Ramo will be done by then. What if Fifi just showed up out of nowhere? And
that would be cool. That'd be a cool re-intro for her.
Overwatch said that, Fifi.
Okay. Yeah. So that would be... That would have been hilarious.
But it's not the finale. So
dang it.
That's next week.
Yeah. Because that would have been so in character too. Oh. For her to be the one with ninja skills or something. Yeah. Yep.
Who was there the whole time making sure everything was going to be okay. Absolutely. So that's the episode. It ends with the gun being pointed at Edda and Serkan.
And Serkan not looking remotely bothered about it.
Giggling practically.
The music is all tense. Everybody's stressed out. The guy looks really mad and he's pointing the gun.
So I'm like, it has to be something really elaborate because
I know
if they were actually in any real danger, I couldn't justify Serkan being so cavalier about it.
No. Well, I mean, when Edda was kidnapped.
Serkan is dying. He doesn't care. He's like, whatever, I've got a brain tumor.
He's
so
like,
whether it's a bullet or a brain tumor, who cares?
I mean, if that was for him, then sure. But Eda is the one he wouldn't be casual about.
He's not going to be casual about putting everyone's lives in
danger. His mom.
Yeah. So, it ends that way, which it's funny, but technically like a scary air quote cliffhanger.
Suspenseful.
Yes. There you go. So obviously it's going to be solved within the first 5 minutes of next week. And that's going to be the finale. I'm very curious about what we have because number one, they had to put it off.
I haven't seen any of the was there only one fragment?
There's been 2.
Okay. I haven't seen any of them.
They didn't really show much because they haven't been able to film much.
Okay. No big deal.
They're like So, anyways, I'm really curious about what is going to happen because, sorry, I'm reading your comments and getting distracted again. I don't know really what they were able to film and who they were able to film with. And I think it was Nestle Han who said, some of us are not going to be very visible or like we'll have been there for something, but then all of a sudden we're just not going to be there the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious. I think it's going to be pretty Edser heavy. Oh, there's only one fragment. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, there has only been one, huh? I'm sorry.
Kristen made her own fragment.
I made my own fragment, I guess. There's been 2 Mirage the fragments though, because that's back on Monday. But anyways, so I'm curious. I feel like it's going to be pretty Edser heavy because as far as we know, they both have tested negative. I think all the crew who wasn't positive still had to quarantine for a certain number of days to make sure they don't come back positive while they're on set.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think they're all quarantining. And so, as long as they stay negative, I'm guessing it's going to be a pretty Edser heavy thing, which honestly should be good. Like, because
they can do a lot with it.
If it's the season finale, there's a lot that these two need to still work on, like actual communication with one another. So I feel like it'd be a really cool time to do. These are known as, in America, they're called bottle episodes, I believe. And it's basically, it's a lower budget episode because it's kind of all shot in one place. And I feel like the campground they're at is like perfect for that, where it could just be, and not all of the cast is in it. The most probably well-known one I can think of is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. They did one where the whole time they're just in an interrogation room and it's only a few of the main characters.
Okay.
And same thing with Friends, the 3rd season premiere. Yeah. They're all just in Monica's living room and it's just the core cast. They're never in the coffee shop. It's literally a half hour. Like it's a literal.
Well, it's like that stupid Fly episode from Breaking Bad when they're just in the
bottle episode.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
and it's just Walt and Jesse.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's because it's lower budget. You're not paying for everyone to be there. You're not paying for different sets. You're not having to pay for,
Makes sense.
So they can
and then they can contain everybody who's healthy.
Well, you can have a skeleton.
And keep them all healthy.
You can have a skeleton crew because you're not shooting in like 2 different locations at once.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it winds up mostly being all at that campsite because I feel like we could really unpack a lot of stuff that we've been waiting for Eda and Serkan to unpack for a long time. So anyways, that's the episode.
Yeah.
And so I think we can like chat with you guys for a little bit because we're only at an hour and a half. And
should we do our sign off and then, or do we want to keep this in for the full?
Let's do our sign off.
Okay.
So we'll come and join you guys in the comments after this. Yeah. So anyways, you guys, thank you for listening. When this is for those of you who are just listening to it as a regular podcast episode when this drops. Sorry if it was a little bit confusing since we were kind of interacting with people who are watching live and you can't actually see that.
Right.
But thank you for joining us and we will be back next week with the season finale. Never thought we'd be saying those words about this show. Yeah. But season finale next week. So until then.
Gooder Shooters.
Host Chakal. Okay, let me make a note. 1:35:41. All right, you guys. So now we're here with you. I don't think we're not going to include this part because it won't be as fun for people who just have to listen. But so we won't include this in the recording. But Kristen, what is that deer in the background? Is this because of Mirashla? Okay, so fun story. I actually bought that. That's what she's talking about way up there.
When you finally read Throne of Glass, that will also have other significance.
Okay. So the deer I've actually had for a while. It was a Christmas decoration. It was like a copper color. And it was like a Christmas decor at Target, I think, a few years ago. And I haven't used it like sense. So then I was like, oh my gosh, now that there's a deer in Marashla, it needs to go in the recording room. So I did hang it up in the recording room because of Marashla. So that was a very shrewd observation. Good job. And someone else is saying, Ashley, I totally read. Oh, totally, Ashley, I read that. Maybe she's talking about Throne of Glass.
Oh, Jazba, you're reading it right now, aren't you?
Cool.
Or did you finish?
You guys are so sweet. So many of you guys are like, do this every week. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
We'll probably, since this was so fun, we'll probably do these, I won't say regularly, but we'll do it again. We don't always get to record in person.
Yeah,
and
right.
The way we record remotely doesn't allow for us to also go live because the recording software we use, because like you're going to notice if you listen to this episode, the sound isn't going to be as crisp and
I mean, it might
be, but
yeah,
it might not sound as crisp and clear as it normally does because we use a very specific recording platform.
Yeah.
But it doesn't allow for us to do it live.
Yeah.
So
we'd have to, you finished the second book.
We'd have to do this like together every week. And it's just not conducive to
real life
schedules in real life. Yeah.
Well,
especially because I'm out of the state sometimes too. So,
and we usually record on Thursday.
Yes.
I'll work,
yeah,
when we're not recording and I work from home. I mean, yeah, it just, if I do come up here, it ends up being a lot more time.
Yeah.
To record.
Well, it's an hour just for her to drive to me or an hour for me to drive to her at least without traffic. And then the whole driving back to our houses, all of that. So it takes a lot more time. So when we do have the time, we'll be happy to do it because clearly this, other than it freezing on you guys a few times, it seems like it was a pretty fun and successful.
I know. I don't know what the heck was happening, but it seems to be okay. But for the break, if we do it at the same time, like if we do it on a Saturday, then we would be available.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, unless you're out of the state.
Right.
But yeah, we're in California.
Yeah, we're Southern California though.
Yeah, south.
North. We're Southern California. So I know everyone's asking, sheriff Mesoasia podcast, please. Ashley would have to watch the whole series for us to do that.
I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah. Sarah says you should both do a tweet thread of book recommendations. Oh, okay. If that's something you guys are interested in, we can do that. Maybe we can even make them kind of tropey to like Senchal Kop. Like if you love Senchal Kapımı,
that's a good idea.
Some books you'll love
that's a good idea. So like based on a DZ?
Yes. Yes. This totally feels like T Swift Secret Sessions.
Like
Dang, that is a compliment. Thank you very much, Marissa.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Secret Sessions? Well, Taylor Swift used to before COVID and all that.
Okay.
She would host secret sessions before she was going to release an album.
Okay.
And she would like stalk fans online and find them that way. And then have her people contact them and be like, hey, you're invited to a secret session at one of her houses. And she would play
in person.
And then she like plays the album for you and like tells stories before each song, like all of that. And it's only to very specific fans.
That's really fun.
Mm-hmm. And she handpicks them herself.
She's like really good to her fans, isn't she?
Yeah, she really is. So
sorry, I'm not a Swiftie, you guys.
It's okay. She doesn't hate her. She's just
I just have never gotten into her.
Everyone's telling us what to do with the break. You can do a 50M squared special. Yeah, that is actually in the works. I think I would need to rewatch it because I like watched it right when it released.
Yeah, me too.
I think I would need to rewatch all 8 episodes, which won't be hard. It's like 2 full DZ episodes maybe.
Yeah.
Total.
So easy.
So before we did that,
I would love to because we both have seen it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and hopefully a season 2 is coming and then we can do like a season 1 recap and then like a season 2 recap. Maybe if there's an official season 2 announced, maybe then we'll do one because then we can like drop it like a week before the new season comes.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So
we could do it for the break. We could,
we've
also
talked about participate with a podcast and do like sort of a talk show about Senchal Kapımı. We have discussed that before about like we haven't like concretely planned anything, but we've talked about the possibility of maybe having some guest hosts.
The bummer last year before COVID hit, we had this whole plan. That was while we were still covering Erkenci Kuş. And we had this whole plan to do our final thing as like a live event. And we were going to rent a venue
in LA for people to come to where we would all watch the finale together.
Yeah. And have merch and we would all watch an episode together and then we would record,
the podcast
live.
episode.
Yeah. But
Then COVID
then it
hit.
didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
I will probably eventually watch Sheriff Messalesi. Somebody's like, please watch Sheriff Messalesi.
Honest to goodness, it is from start to finish. It is very well done.
Okay.
It is very well paced. It is very well written.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's never a point where I'm like, okay, this is just out of left field.
Okay.
Like, it's really well done.
Yeah. And I'm not opposed to it by any means.
No.
I just, like, I'm not caught up on Marashla. I haven't finished Saya Beyaz Aşk.
No, you finally finished Jay Survey Güzel though, right?
I did.
I haven't finished that, but you finally did.
Yeah. So there's
invite Karem. Jackie, we're trying. I promise we're trying to get him on the podcast.
We're doing our absolute best.
So yeah,
there's only so much we can do.
Someone else says, I'm watching Hayat Sharkissa because of your podcast with Miriam. Yes, that's like her. I'm also watching that. I'm on episode 6 right now. I'm kind of just watching it when I have random free time. So I'm not binging through it, but it's very good so far. So yeah. Let's start taking some questions. So Tishka? Tiska? Tell me how to what's that word?
Pronounce?
Yeah, but like when you spell it
phonetically.
Phonetically. Yeah. How do we say your name? Because she says, how did you start your adventure with Turkish GZs? Well, I started it because of Ashley. So Ashley moved back to California 3 summers ago, and probably within like a few weeks of you being back, you were watching EK, right? Because you came in around like the 10th episode-ish.
It was, I think it was August or September.
Okay. So
I want to say September that I started.
And Ashley was like, hey, I just started watching this foreign show. Like, you should try it. And I'm not against subtitles. I usually have subtitles on even when I'm watching English shows. Like, I just like having them on screen. So I'm not like, oh, subtitle, I don't want to watch that. But no, Sana, I did not get a cookie recipe from Karam. We only got that smoothie recipe, and it tasted like freshly mowed grass. So she was like, this show. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll try it. Like, I'll try it.
I was like, Kristen, I know you.
She does.
And I know that you will love this.
She's the one that got me into, you had watched To All the Boys I Loved before. When it dropped on Netflix. And you were like, you have to watch this. And I think the day you told me, I did, because I had just gotten home from like Oregon. And so I was just like relaxing, and I watched it that night. And of course fell in love. And I mean, that's kind of how a lot of stuff happens. Ashley's like, hey, you'll love this. And I'm like, hey, okay. And then I do. But I don't know. I was just like, okay, like thinking it's just one thing I'll eventually get to.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, how do I
was being so pushy because I was obsessed.
And so she was like, how do I start watching this?
Yeah.
Or I was like, how do I start watching this? And at the time you could find some subbed episodes on YouTube. So I had started watching it that way. And I got like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes into the first episode. And then I was down at her house later that week, and she's like, did you finish episode 1? And I was like, no. And then she's like, sit down, we're going to watch it. And then we watched the entire episode, and the reveal at the end of episode 1, I was like, oh, the brother's the bad guy. And I was like, now I have to see what happens next. Also because of the insane palpable chemistry between John and Demet. And that was history. After that, I binged it within a few weeks. I was done around Thanksgiving, because I think I started watching end of October, beginning of November that year of 2018. And that was it. And then January, Ashley kind of jokingly was like, hey, my friend Rod from Periscope is like looking to offer someone his podcast microphone.
Yeah.
Like, what if we did a podcast about EK? And I was like, a podcast about EK? Yeah,
because we were constantly talking about it anyway.
Yep,
all the time. And I was like, what if we use this as an outlet? Because so the way I came to EK was my first DZ ever. And there was an author page an author group that I'm a part of, and somebody had posted, I think it was I don't know if it was a picture of John or a meme or something. And then all the comments, they were like, oh, it's this amazing show. It's Turkish. And then I was like, okay, I've never seen anything Turkish, but I don't know, they were like raving about it. So I put it on. I just was like, okay, I'll watch the first episode. And then by the end of the first episode, I was like, okay, I like this. Yeah. and then I caught up and I started watching it live. And then I was like, I needed to talk to somebody about it. Yeah. So I was like, Kristen, I need you to watch this so we can talk about it. Yeah. And again, you know, we know each other so well, and I know her taste in like entertainment. So I knew she would love it. And so I sat her down and forced her to do it.
And then the kind of half joking, maybe we should do a podcast about this, turned into like, well, let's record a couple episodes and we'll play them for some other, we were in a private Facebook group. So we're like, would you guys be okay if we just like sent you the files and could just listen to it for us to give us some feedback? We got good feedback and we made it actual thing, and that's been just over 2 years now we've been doing this. There's a couple questions I wanted to answer. I'm going to scroll back up.
Okay.
If I can. Because someone asked what language we sign off in. Turkish. I say goodbye, hoşça kal. Ashley says see you later.
Görüşürüz. Yeah.
And then someone else had a really good one. Here we go. Anna, how did you start analyzing Aisha's writing? Like the meaning of the flowers, numbers, why you went that way. I would never think of doing it. Okay. Well, Aisha wrote the first 17 episodes of Erkenci Kuş. Yeah. That's how we first came into contact with her writing. And it's funny because even then we analyzed her stuff, right? But not to the degree that we do now with Sençal Kapımı. I think if we were to go back and do EK again, we would
definitely do deeper dives.
Yes, so much more. I mean, like, when they're reading Franz Kafka and like all that, I mean, we do kind of go into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and she obviously has a deep love for mythology.
Yeah, because Artemis and, they all make a right in
constellations, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes. So that's where we kind of got the taste. Same thing. And when she wrote the first 17 episodes, was gone until episode 39, came back in 39 and wrote 39 through 46. And then there were new writers for the last 5 episodes. And when she came back for the 40s, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 45, 46, by then we were a little more accustomed to her stuff. And so I think we did a lot deeper dives during those episodes, like the whole, we were asking, why was John tying knots in this rope? Because he's doing that a lot. It must mean something. And it did.
And we kind of realized that Aisha would tweet stuff that was relevant to the stuff she was writing into the show.
But she wouldn't like tag EK or anything. These would just be like tweets of hers.
It was like if you caught it, if you were paying attention, then you would notice that there was a correlation.
We call them Aisha eggs because if you guys are familiar with the term Easter eggs, like that's hidden clues in books or shows or whatever. So she would write stuff about constellations. Well, scrolling back when Sençal Kapımı first started last July, we started scrolling through her tweets from like January that year on. And she was tweeting about flowers, different flower types, what they meant. Yeah. And we're talking back in like January 2020.
Right.
She posted a tweet about the constellation of Sirius. Yeah. Months before Sençal Kapımı aired. So it was like, oh yeah, this goes deeper than we could ever imagine. Like, so we knew from the get-go to start looking into
clues
or anything that could mean something. And while I feel like we got most of them, especially with help, because then it kind of made listeners start doing the same thing.
It kind of became a joint
hunt, like scavenger hunt. And so people would then message or email us like, hey, and we've read those theories where it's like, I didn't even think of this. Because it was actually Hannah, who's Hannah Hearts Deezies on Twitter. She's the one who came up with, hey, did you look into the numerology of those pages?
Yeah,
of the
we didn't even think of the numbers.
Because the pages they were reading do not correspond to any Turkish or English copy of the Little Prince. So we were like, well, if they're not reading off the actual pages that those quotes are on, those numbers have to mean something else.
They can't just be
random.
Meaningless.
I mean, they could.
I mean, they could. And as with any kind of symbology, there's there's something I don't remember who I heard say this, but basically, you know, there are things, there are books and poems that people will pull symbology out of, and then other people will be like, well, I don't think it is, I don't see those symbols and that kind of a thing. And, you know, we very well could be overdoing it and reading into things.
Sure.
But I think it's kind of fun that you can pick and pull out symbology if it's meaningful to you.
Yeah.
And you can kind of individualize the experience in that way if you're reading a book or a poem or watching a show.
Absolutely.
And if you do see the threads of these things, maybe it's not necessarily what the intent of the author was, but it doesn't make it any less meaningful for you as the consumer of that thing.
Yep.
So it kind of just turned into like a fun thing and a hunt for us, and a way for us to experience the DZ in a different and deeper way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, like things like, you know, I would have never, in episode 12, when they're taking that walk in, you know, if I wasn't as familiar with Aisha as I already was, it wouldn't have even occurred to me to look further into that architect he was talking about, because it could have just easily be written off as, oh, it's just some Turkish history. That's cool. Because it's a very old and historical city. So there's going to be landmarks and things that have a story. But when I looked into the architect that built that, he had a lot of similarities to Serkan, which was like, well, I wonder if Aisha derived any inspiration from this architect
for Serkan's
character.
Yeah.
You know, and not that you can't enjoy the show without those things, but for us, we just enjoy those little riches, I guess you could call them.
Yeah.
It kind of enriches them.
Yeah. Those little nuggets.
Yeah. Somebody asked, Aisha tweeted the song Wild Horses some time ago. What do you think that would mean? If she's writing it, I'm guessing when her next show comes out,
we'll know.
Yeah. I don't think it has anything to do with Senchal Kapımı.
Probably something that she's just working on.
It's probably something she's working on currently. And when we watch that, we'll probably be like, oh, this was what she was tweeting that song about.
Kalena, we're very glad that we decided to podcast too. It's crazy. It's been 2 years now.
It's been 2 years. And honestly, it's blown up into some, like, we just passed 5,000 followers on Twitter, like a couple days ago, which is like this exact time last year, we didn't even have 500. And
no, we were probably getting like 100 listens on an episode.
If we were lucky.
Yeah.
And, you know, and we didn't start
it was mostly, it's for us,
yes.
you know, it's like our therapy for DZ watching because you know how DZs are. Yes. Sometimes you need it. You need the outlet. You need the fandom. You need your social media to purge it all.
Exactly. So yeah, we just started it for us. We weren't like, oh, hopefully we get all these listeners and blah, blah, blah. But I think with everything happening last year with COVID and just being home a lot, I dove into our social medias a lot more than I ever did during EK.
Yeah.
We would post like when we had episodes and we would kind of live tweet when we would live watch, you know, EK episodes, but just not, I wasn't as involved in the fandom side of it as we are with like Senchal Kapımı.
Yeah.
And so I think that helped like interacting and quote, like meeting more people.
Yeah, for sure.
But we've already met so many people through just EK alone.
I know.
Like, I mean, that we never would have met otherwise. Like, it's just crazy. I mean, like those 3 paintings back there or photos, I don't know if you can tell from there, but they're all pictures of someone holding a chai glass in front of different monuments in Istanbul. And Marianne got me those. And we only know Marianne because she started following us early on in the EK days. And now, like, even though we haven't physically met her, I feel like I've known her our whole life. Same with Kalena, whose birthday it is today. That's who we said happy birthday to earlier. Yeah. Like,
I remember when we first, because Kalena emailed us and we read it on the podcast.
Yep.
And I remember, I think she emailed us again or tweeted us or something and was like, my daughter heard my name on the podcast and we both started freaking out.
Like, you guys, I promise we're not anything special. Like, it's so funny because people are like, oh my gosh, like you said my name on the pod or you read this. And honestly, like, we love it because like you guys are just like us. We're just like you. Like, we have this very specific love for a very niche, unknown but known thing.
Well, and the DZ world and the DZ fandom is so dedicated.
Yes.
In a way that, I mean, there are obviously other dedicated fandoms, but you know, with the whole starting of this, we were like, we want to find other people who are into this.
Yes.
And that was kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
To be able to, because we were going to talk about it no matter what, but we were like, we could just record ourselves talking about it. And then put it out into the world. And then we were able to make those connections. And that was really the whole point.
The whole point. And we have, and it's like, but honestly, whether we only made 10 connections or whether we made 10,000 connections, like they're all very special. Like, because for us, it's not about like, we're not looking to, this isn't a career. This is definitely not, we don't make money. If anything, it costs us to make this.
Yeah.
But people have been very generous, like to our tip jar and stuff. Like, I think we have our podcast memory storage paid for a few months because of tips we've gotten.
Yeah.
Which
just is to run it.
Yeah. Like, just to run it.
Yeah. Which is great.
We pay our logo guy when he makes designs for us.
Yeah.
And so, but it's a hobby and it's so much fun and it's something we're very involved in. So it's worth it to us. But
yeah. Well, and then, Jennifer, I see your comment, that COVID was such a difficult time, and it's really been great. And it's really been an honor we've gotten a lot of messages like that, that through COVID and everything being shut down and that kind of isolation that I think came upon everybody.
Yeah. And especially people who, like live alone.
Right.
They don't have even like, if they don't live with their parents or their siblings or a spouse or, significant other.
Yeah.
It even more so, I'm sure, for you guys.
Right. And the fact that we were able to be some sort of help in that situation is just kind of astonishing to me. And it's really like, that's amazing. And that feels very special that we could be part of your guys' lives indirectly in this way, where it's like, because we listen to podcasts too. I totally get it. Where you're listening and you're like, oh yeah, ha ha ha. And
exactly. Like it's not weird to us when people say that, because I'm like, we totally do that with podcasts too, where I'm like, I talk back to the hosts who I'm listening to. Or I'm like,
it's like that meme.
I thought that too. Like, yeah, we totally get that. It's not weird to us. What's weird is that it's like, wait, people do that with us that we do to like, it's humbling too, because it's like, oh my gosh, like we've gotten quite a few messages more recently of people who were just like, you really helped with this. Like, you were something I looked forward to every week. I felt like I was hanging out with like two of my close friends while we just got to chat about these things we love. And that's exactly what we wanted this to be. But to hear that it's actually happening all over the world, in the UK, India, Czechoslovakia.
That's really
the Czech
wild.
Republic and Slovakia, sorry.
That's really wild. Like how everybody
how
is
universal.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it's just, because I'm like, well, who are we? We're just like, all we do is we just kind of gush and giggle every week on a podcast.
I know. So if we it really is an honor, like that we can be a part of your lives in that way.
And that you let us into your lives like that. It just, it really means a lot. So.
Yeah. Somebody did say, that is the Hagia Sophia.
Yes. In the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm all right there. How do I touch it? Yeah. That it is. I made some great friends because of you guys.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, like
I love it.
In our Facebook group, we have a podcast Facebook group, a private podcast Facebook group.
Yeah.
And a lot of you guys are like, a few of you have been posting pictures of like meetups you've had.
Yes.
Or just like the fact that you guys are interacting outside of the group, not necessarily meeting each other in person, but
like legitimately making friends.
Yeah, legitimately making friends, sending stuff to each other.
Well, and when you have that common ground of something that's so niche, there is something about a fandom.
Yeah.
There's something really cool about a fandom.
Yeah. Darren says, never stop doing whatever you're doing right now, because you really did make us happy in so many ways. Good morning. It's 4 a.m. in the Philippines. Oh my gosh. Thank you for being up so late with us.
Wow. Or so early.
Yeah. Or very early. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, our Facebook group is a happy place too. Like, it's like the only reason I still even have a Facebook account, honestly. If I didn't need a Facebook account to be in the group or run it, I would not have a Facebook account.
Yeah.
Never been active in any Facebook group before, and it feels so nice to share
that's great, Danny.
Oh, Danny, thank you. Yeah. And we just hit like 300 people in the group, which I'm like, what the heck?
I know. Crazy.
That's so crazy to me.
So fun.
You guys like all want to hang out with
us.
I
always feel bad because I'm so busy.
Yeah,
I don't ever have time to do anything. I know. I just feel bad.
You have a traditional like working 9 to 5 job. Yeah. And I do not. So and just
you're just able to connect with so many people.
My social proclivities. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Just tend to draw me to things like Twitter and Instagram. And
you're much more extroverted than I am in that way. Yeah. And so I always feel like I'm not able to make those connections with people just because the time and like it does take time and yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised when we were covering sorry you guys, we will never ever do this again. But we covered
oh my gosh,
last year because we couldn't pick between the two. And so we're like, let's do both because it's summertime and Ashley's off of work and we'll be able to do it. And it was kind of fine during that. But then they both kept going after summer ended. And you were back at work. I was back. I was going back and forth. I was going back and forth between Arizona and California like I do now. But it made things a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
And we were like, why did we do this?
Yeah, we were like, what did we do to ourselves?
What did we do to ourselves? So we'll never be able to cover 2 again at the same time. At least not episodically. Like if we do a special episode, like we've talked about, like where we're covering just a show
like
in
one,
general.
in one single episode.
Yes, that's different. But because of how we just like to go through like generally scene by scene or specific things, like
and keeping on track with the new episodes.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
It was very hard.
Yeah. I work for a charter school. I'm a teacher, but we're like all online,
virtual. But you were online before COVID. It was virtual.
We were online before COVID.
Yeah. So you guys were the most prepared for COVID school.
We were. Yeah, we were. But it's doesn't necessarily mean it's any less busy.
Yeah.
And then if I've been on Zoom all day, I'm like exhausted and I don't want to interact and I just want to sit by myself and read.
Yeah, you have to recharge.
I have to recharge. And it's weird because I've noticed that it'll even kind of like, even like social media will kind of just, I get tired. It's just weird, you guys.
Yeah. Can we join the Facebook group? Yes. We have links to them.
Mm-hmm.
We have a link to the Facebook group in every single podcast episode's notes. It's the very bottom of the notes. If you scroll, like if you listen in Spotify, Apple, Amazon, pretty much any podcast listening app, when you scroll to the bottom of the episode description, there's a link to the Facebook group. You do have to answer 3 questions because we do want to make sure it's not a specific this actor fan group. It's not a specific this DZ fan group. I mean, we mostly talk about Sensual Kapımı because that's what we cover, but we talk about a lot of other DZs too. So we just want to make sure it's someone who's actually like a podcast listener, so that because it's a very specific kind of group. So you do have to answer 3 questions that you would kind of only know if you listen to the podcast.
Right.
So you just
but even like just do your best.
Yeah, just do your best
to answer them.
Just don't not answer them because
just don't not answer them.
We don't admit if you don't answer the questions,
we don't let you
in. And if that happens, just try again and answer the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so
that's all we ask.
Spammy accounts. It's pretty drama free in there, and we like to keep it that way because we just all like to gush about the things we love. We don't like to bash other DZs or fandoms. It's all very respectful, and there's like good dialogue a lot of times. If there are differing opinions on stuff, it's like a very safe place. It feels like it's fun and happy. So we want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Kisses from Brazil. Thank you. What are your favorite episodes? For Sensual Kapımı, I assume you mean. And mine bounces between, it's mostly 11, but sometimes 7. My top 3 are 11, 7, and 4. And 11 and 7 sometimes switch places depending on like really what I'm in the mood for, but almost always 11.
Okay, look.
Just describe what happens in the episode and I'll tell you which episode it is.
I feel like it's also, I see, that's her. She has the very specific memory. And I'm like, what do you mean? When did that happen? That was, everything is a blur in my brain. I love 4. It might be 4.
Drain the pool?
Yeah. It might be 4.
4
There's so much that happens in that episode.
So much.
But it might also be 11 because,
Well, 4 is so good with the jealousy and like the really building and the.
Well, and it feels like a lot happens.
There's a lot of good tension.
Yes.
but 11 is my level of angst. So
yeah, like, you're the angst queen.
Yeah. But 7 had a lot of good angst too, because he's like all sad about his birthday. She doesn't want to spend time with him. Mm-hmm. She actually does want to spend time with him on his birthday. And they both think that the other doesn't. So that's got good angst too. But Kalana says, okay, but oops. Sorry, I'm scrolling, guys. Where'd it go?
I know.
Can we just say the podcast fandom is great and amazing? And folks, the podcast set the internet on fire by making a song about
sorry.
Well, we can't fully take credit for that.
We didn't find it.
That was our favorite French sisters, Marie and Constance. But yes, we were able to help them amplify and make it available for everyone. But if you guys do a DZ per episode, that means we get the 3-hour episode. You guys are all, it's so funny because like,
did they really want us to break 3 hours? Is that like a thing?
Because our 3-hour episode was actually like 2 hours and 59 minutes and like 45 seconds or something. It like wasn't quite 3 hours.
And every type A personality was twitching.
And so, what grade do you teach, Ashley?
Oh, all of them. I don't do direct instruction. We work with homeschooling families, and I'm more of an overseer, facilitator. I keep hitting this. I'm sorry. So I have kids from transitional kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade.
Yeah, she teaches them all.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sorry, girls. I don't know what DZ are you going to talk about between season 1 and 2. We don't know. We're not even
we don't know.
Cover specific DZ. We might just do special episodes. We might do, or we just talk about a DZ overall, like we talked about, like maybe season 1 of 50M squared, that kind of stuff. We're not really sure. We kind of just fly by the seat of our pants. Yeah. But anyways, if you guys were with us during season 1, most of our episodes didn't even break 2 hours. We were lucky to get an hour and a half. And when we very, very first started, our episodes were like 45 minutes long.
Yeah, they're super short.
And so when we started doing Sensual Kapımı and these episodes were like hitting 2 hours, I was like, oh my gosh, people are not going to listen to this. Like, it's so long. And then you guys are like, make it longer. And I'm like, I can't believe they want to like listen to us.
I know. I don't know if I can handle longer.
I know. Sometimes you can tell when Ashley's just done.
Yes. Yeah.
Or I can at least.
She knows. Or I get to where I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
I'm like, all right, we need to wrap this up. I think we said everything that needs to be said.
I start wilting. And I'm like, I don't have any more words.
Exactly. Heart of Desire 4 is an epic episode. Yes, it is. And 11 was angsty with a good confession. That is like the perfect summary.
That's perfect.
What do you think about Karim and Hande's life? Okay, listen, we have never officially taken a stance on Han Care. I mean, we've
mostly because when it comes down to it, not our business. So we're like,
yes,
we don't need to necessarily.
No.
Yeah.
And I think, and I don't mean this in any way where I'm like trying to sound braggy, but now that we do have like a bit more of a following and stuff, I just like, we need to be careful with stuff like that.
Sure. Because they are real people.
Because they're real people.
Their lives.
And, our reach is getting bigger. And so we don't want people to be like, well, the Dizzy for DZ girl said this, so it must be true.
Right.
We do like teasing and being like, oh, look at how cute he was with his chin on her shoulder, or look at the
right.
So we love that.
Yeah.
But, when it comes down to it, we don't know, and it's not our business. Now, when it comes to their live, I thought it was adorable because we already talked about, I don't know if you were here, whoever just asked that. I don't know if you were here when we were talking about how he talked about how he loved his country, and he kind of like gave a look to the screen because he's seen those memes now. Like, so that was definitely him teasing the fandom at the very least.
Right.
Because he was like, if you love your country and I love mine. It's fun to like speculate about stuff like that or be like, look what he did. But I also think, as human beings, we have the power of self-fulfilled prophecy. So when you are looking, if you're already convinced of something, then you're going to see things that then further prove that you're right in the thought you're already having.
Yeah.
So it's easy he really could have just been like, and you guys know I love my country.
Yeah.
And he could have literally just meant it at face value. But because we already are like, oh, this, and it's like, oh, but look at how his eyes twitched, or look at that. Like, you look for
reading into things.
Yeah, you start reading into things that you think are there just to further prove your point. So
when it comes down to it, our official stance is that we want them to be happy.
Yes.
Whether that's together or separately, it doesn't, we don't know them in real life, but we can certainly wish for their happiness in their lives.
Yep.
So that is the official Dizzy for DZ stance.
That is the official stance.
Is that we hope that they are happy.
Whatever that means.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever that means for them.
But of course, it's it's fun to have ships and
absolutely
and that kind of a thing. And as long as you don't take it too seriously, and it can be a fun thing. Yeah.
All the like flowers that got sent to her yesterday, but they, people of course were like, but it got sent to both of them, and I'm like, yes, but that flower shop clearly just has Hyundai's address, so they're sending them all to her home, like, but it's fun to laugh at stuff like that. And, but
yeah.
Anyways.
So that's that's that.
That's that. What else do you guys have?
I know. I don't know if
I know I'll scroll up a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know if we missed any.
We probably did.
I'm sure there were plenty while we actually
I can't wait to actually go back after this is done and like read through your comments as we were talking, because I didn't get to see a lot of those, but I want to see like what you guys said to each other.
I think it was Marisa who said that she understands. If it is Marisa, like from our group, who was like, yeah, I understand about Zoom.
Yeah. It's
the weirdest thing to be so exhausted by Zoom.
Rose says,
but it's exhausting.
That we're lovely and positive people.
Aww.
Let me tell you guys, I really wasn't feeling positive. It was fun to kind of like about the episodes.
For those few episodes, yeah.
When it first kind of happened, like 30 to, it got really old after a while though. Yeah. And I'll be completely honest, I was like, I don't even know why people are listening to this. I feel like I'm saying and complaining about the same stuff every week. And I miss being like excited and like positive and like
there were I like didn't even want to watch it.
Yeah, like honestly, where I was just like,
because I was thinking if this is going to be another really like depressing episode. Yeah.
So I'm glad you guys still think of us as positive and
and that era is over. And we can put it behind us.
There's something about the 30s in rom-com DZs that are cursed, because rom-coms really are not meant to have an unknown end date. Like romances need like a beginning, a middle, and an end. And they need to know when that is.
That would have been lovely if we had a set number of episodes from the beginning, and then they had the full arc of the story, and then it was just done.
Now, that being said, depending on how the finale goes next week, I kind of have a theory / hope for season 2, but I'll cover that once we actually watch the finale. Let's see. You guys have any? Well, how about this? If you guys have questions, even if you already typed it, send it again, because there's a lot of comments and I'm having a hard time scrolling through all of them.
If not Hyundai or Krem, who would you want to invite to the podcast from the cast? That's a good question.
Ooh, that's a really good question.
I mean, we know. Yeah.
And I think someone actually suggested that in here, was like, you guys should ask Bashak.
I feel like any of them would be so fun.
Yeah. I would honestly, any of them who were willing, I would have any of them.
Yeah.
And even if it meant we needed to get a translator.
Right. Because like we know Bashak knows English. I think there's a few of them.
English.
Yeah.
And if more of them might, they just maybe don't actively speak it.
Right.
But you could always do a what if. Oh, you could always do a what if the writers for episodes 31 through 36, like what would have made them better and not as terrible as they were. Yeah. Like an alternate universe. Called Chari. Oh, I feel like would be so much fun to have.
Be Sarp so
too. Sarp would be so much fun to have.
Or if we got Sarp and
Anil.
Yes, together.
That little dynamic duo. That would be a lot of fun.
That would be really fun.
OMG, you're gonna make us wait next week. Listen, I tweeted a whole thread on it. So if you want to dig back through the Dizzy for DZ Twitter thread.
Kristen has a lot of thoughts.
I did thread those thoughts a while ago. But yes, otherwise I'm going to make you wait till next week.
So funny.
It was good hearing you talk about it, because I can't rant about with anyone in real life.
Did I have baklava? I've had baklava.
Thank you, Marikala. Is that how you say your name? Thank you for that. That's very sweet. That's what a lot of people had said. Like, honestly, we had a lot of similar feelings, so it was good, like, to be able to like, with you. So, which is what made us keep going.
Yeah.
And not just like skip over them.
Yeah.
Would you like me to share? Yeah. The real EB. You must be in our Facebook group. Who are you in our Facebook group?
I think it's B.
Oh, B.
Yeah.
Oh, the real B.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Go ahead and share the link to the Facebook group in here. And then that way people can join if they want.
Whoa.
I know what just happened. Do season 2s usually work for DZs? It just depends on the DZ.
Yeah.
I think for dramas and action and things like that, I think there's a lot more like rabbit trails and plot twists and things you can do. with romances, it's just kind of a lot of like, okay, we need
filler.
Yeah, we need filler, or we need something to like, we need actual like angst or drama or whatever to like, keep things fresh. But usually all that means is like finding a way to break them up again, which gets old after a while. I firmly believe romances should go build up, whether it's a slow burn or not. I prefer slow burns, but build up the initial get together. Then at some point after the official get together, there's what we like to call the major conflict or the big misunderstanding that separates them in some form.
Right.
But then they come back together. So good conclusion. We don't get something rushed or whatever. So, and they could technically be together this whole time and facing like brain tumor stuff. So if that's in fact real.
Oh, if we could pick up character, not an actor for the podcast.
Oh. Who would we want to interview? Oh gosh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. I mean,
Ed and Sarah Connor are obviously the obvious.
Yeah, they're the main.
Obviously them. But if it wasn't them, I think I would want to interview one of the girls. Melo. I want to do like Melo or Fifi.
Or Fifi to see if we could get information out of her.
Why can't we have domestic Ed Sarah? I mean, marriage is hard and complicated. Yes, it is.
See, I agree with that.
We
Teresa.
agree too. I think
you can. It doesn't end there.
No, it doesn't. But I think it's harder. Like it takes more of an effort to actually do that. And I don't want to just say, oh, it's laziness, because the DZ industry is very fast paced. So I get the fact that they have to like whip these episodes out in a week. So maybe they don't really have the time to like look into going a like revolutionary route. But yeah, I would like to see them actually being domestic and facing drama and hard times and angst together. And part of my thread has to do with that. So
yeah.
Let's see.
I think it froze for a minute.
Yeah, I saw that too. If the series did end in the mid-20s, do you think their separation from 14 lasted too long? I think because really they would have only been together for a small time before the ending. Yeah. I think they could have, what I think should have happened is at the end of 21, when he kisses her in the elevator, I think 22 should have started, if they were only going to go 25 episodes, 22 should have started with that being like them back together.
The final arc.
Yeah, the final arc. So then 22, 23, 24, and 25 would all be building up to the end, them together.
If we interviewed Celine.
Oh, she'd probably be a good one.
We'd just be psychoanalyzing her the whole time.
That's true. We'd need Hannah. We would. She's a real life mental health expert.
The podcast name.
How'd you come up with it?
Oh, I did.
Yep. Before it was actually she came up with it for nothing having to do with the podcast. Actually.
Yeah. It was for an article that I wrote about Arkenji Kush, and that was the name of the article that I wrote.
And she wrote that long before we had a podcast, but it kind of just worked. So that's kind of what we ended up deciding to name the DZ. Or the podcast. So I don't think we even had like runners up or
no. And we liked that it was generic enough that if we wanted to pick another DZ later, it wasn't just specific to EK.
Which worked out because we did keep going. Because we didn't know. We're like, maybe we'll stop EK and then that'll be all we felt like doing. Like,
right. We weren't sure.
Yeah. Which is not what happened. Let's see. I'd really like for DZs to start realizing, that marriage is not the end of a relationship, more like a beginning.
Yeah.
It really is. You're right. And there's all kinds of things you tackle in marriage that you don't necessarily tackle beforehand. So, you guys have any last minute questions?
Before we sign off?
Yes, before we sign off. Sorry, it looks like we froze again.
Yeah, back at that for a moment.
I don't know why.
Oh, sorry.
Well, anyways, if you guys are having any that your last minute ones you're typing, go ahead. What are you reading?
Right now, I won an arc of Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne, and I'm reading that right now,
which is really cool.
I really
like it. And I'll probably be reading that after.
I know. I almost was going to try to finish it last night, but then I would have been up until 2 a.m. No,
that would.
I was like, I can't. I'll bring it to her later.
Courtney, what got us started on DZs? When this somebody asked us that, we answered it. So when we drop this like video on the channel, you can go back and probably maybe like 10-15 minutes before whatever this time stamp is.
What are you reading?
I actually don't have a book right now. Throne of Glass. I know. I just ordered. I officially ordered all the books because I only have the first book, but I don't have the prequel novella or the other 6 that come after. So I just ordered them all yesterday. And they'll be coming. So I'm probably going to start that next because the last book I finished was another book by Sarah J. Maas. Yeah, so I'm kind of like in that world right now, that fantasy world. So I was like, and nothing's like really been sticking. Like I've started a few books, but then like haven't really.
I'm going to want to reread with you. Especially once you get to Heir of Fire.
Yeah. I did read and finish Amy Harmon's latest book, which I've talked about on the podcast before. The Songbook of Benny Lament, but I highly recommend reading Amy Harmon. I would start with Making Faces. Personally, that was the first book I read by her. So I know, Jackie, no book right now. It's weird, but I've just been so like DZ centric lately that's kind of really what's doing it for me. So I just haven't been reading a whole lot. Like I think I've read 6 or 7 books already this year. And normally I would, what month are we in? April? I'd probably be like 40 or 50 right now.
You read just Throne of Glass in 2 days? Olga?
Wow.
I always want to say, because I know that the way we say it, I know that the way Americans say Olga is not
correct.
Right. It's like softer because I have a friend and she goes by Olya.
Oh, so
and
it's like
a little more
like the Turkish umashuke.
Right. But I'm always like, I'm probably saying it wrong.
Thank you for saving G Mart to see Saturday this week. Oh, thank you guys. That's very sweet of you to say.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming, for being a part of this.
You guys are awesome. I can't believe we had like 150 of you in here at one point. Somebody just asked something. Where is it? I just missed it. Oh, someone said you guys have a beautiful friendship. Thank you.
So
we're pretty lucky. I know a lot of people don't have decades-long friendships. So thank you for today. This is fun. We had a lot of fun too, you guys, even though it was a little nerve-wracking because I'm like, oh, we've done live, but the last live episode we did was the end of season 1 and it was a Q&A. So we didn't really have to like discuss the episode or anything.
Right.
So this was a format we've like never really done before.
Yeah.
And I was actually a little bit nervous, but other than a few
I feel like we got into pitches, it though.
Yeah, we found our niche. Are you watching any American shows? So I used to be like Ask Ashley. I watched like every show on television.
Every show.
And I've dropped a lot of them. Like, I do still watch This Is Us. And I will watch This Is Us, like as in like I watch it every week when the episode comes out. I will catch up like on New Amsterdam or A Million Little Things, like eventually, you know, like I'll like probably like when I just feel like kind of watching something that doesn't need to take all my attention on reading the screen.
Yeah.
I love those shows, so I'll watch those. But I used to watch like Law and Order SVU. I'm like 3 or 4 seasons behind on that, but I did watch the special because Stabler's back, so I did watch those episodes, even though I didn't know who like any of the people were, any of the other side characters. Yeah, I used to watch like all the Dick Wolf shows, like Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago everything, Grey's Anatomy, all the Shondaland stuff. Like I don't like watch any of that anymore because honestly, the quote chemistry between a lot of these love interests to me is like virtually non-existent now when I've seen good chemistry in DZs.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't hold my attention as much anymore. And honestly, I don't really feel like I'm missing much. So
yeah, I watched the Great British Baking Show.
Yeah, she's like way into that right now.
I love it. Although, I mean, I know that's not American, but, and then we actually just started WandaVision and that's been really good. Yeah. We're a few episodes in. We've been watching WandaVision.
Yes, we did watch Bridgerton. Ashley and I actually promised not to watch it the day it released because we both had family plans on Christmas. But we got together like 3 or 4 days later and watched all of it in one sitting.
Yeah, we had a day carved out for it.
DZs are really great for training you for stuff like that. Because like, watching maybe 2.5 DZ episodes.
Exactly. So, but as far as like current American TV, I don't really watch it either.
Yeah. That's like it for me anymore. What do you guys think about the Hello photo shoot? Loved it so much.
I've heard good things about Falcon and Winter Soldier. We still have to catch up on The Mandalorian too, though.
Yeah, I don't watch any of that stuff. I don't even know what half that stuff means.
Yeah, we had gotten rid of our Disney Plus, and so now we're
catching up.
Yeah.
Do you guys plan on watching K-dramas? I actually have a note app. Somebody, and I believe it was Nini. A couple people have made me like, here's the K-dramas you need to like watch.
Everybody's talking about crash landing into you.
Yes, that's true. But there's a few people who have made me lists. I have them saved in my notes apps because yes, I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
This DZ has ruined my barely existent life. I feel that. Thank you for hanging with us. Thank you guys for hanging with us. I cannot believe that this was like something that you guys wanted to do with us. Yeah, so we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yes.
All right. Well, somebody asks you a question about British baking.
Yes, with Paul Hollywood and Mary Berry. And then later on, it's Prue Leith. She replaces Mary Berry. It's like the best. It's so heartwarming. Aww. Great British Baking Show. And like they all become friends and they help each other. It's, you know, how like American reality TV, if it's a competition, like they're like mean to each other. There's always drama. They're all so nice to each other. They make friends after the series is complete. They'll like do stuff together. It's the cutest. It just makes my heart happy.
So
I love it.
Yes, Crash Landing on News on Netflix, you guys. Well, if we watch it, maybe we'll do an episode about it because I feel like there's quite an intersection of DZ and K-drama watchers.
For sure.
I feel like that would be something that would be like relatable for the podcast. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you. No, I've not watched Chair Day yet, but I know Hyundai's in it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for hanging out and chatting with us and asking us questions. We'll do another I'm sure we'll do a Q&A episode during the hiatus because those are easy. We don't really have to prepare for those. We just kind of come hang out with you guys and you ask us questions. But yeah, so we'll do another live and we'll do a Q&A where we can more focus on your guys' questions. But thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here. We love you all so much from all over the world. Thank you for staying up late, setting your alarms early, all of that,
seriously.
Just to hang out with us. So we love you. We're so grateful for you. And yeah, come hang out with us in our Facebook group.
Yep. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.